going on, guys? It's Michelle Watterson, the Karate Hottie, and I just wanted to congratulate my friends at Slip and Dip Podcast for hitting their 100 episode mark. Congratulations to the beginning of many, many, many more.
And shout out to Kendrick and Matt for making 100 episodes, man. I see y'all in y'all bag.
Yo, Alan Joban here. Congratulations to the Slip and Dip Podcast, making it 100 episodes. Keep it going, guys.
Hey, man. Hey, congratulations, 100th episode. I'm humbled and had a pleasure to do that with y'all. Congratulations to the Slip and Dip Podcast, Kendrick, Matt. God bless y'all. Hopefully 100, 200, 300 more, and even more than that. God bless y'all.
Man, if y'all don't know, now you know, man. We on the Slip and Dip Podcast, and we're getting it in, man. He's the best in the business. If you ain't listening, you ain't doing the right things.
What's up to the Slip and Dip Podcast? It's your boy, Killer Gorilla. Here, I want to send a shout out to you and congratulate you guys on your upcoming 100th episode, man. That's a huge milestone, and I can't wait to hear your 200th episode.
Hi, I'm Tatiana Suarez, and I want to congratulate Matt and Kendrick on their 100th episode and many more.
Hello, everybody. This is Stephen the Warman. Right, I want to give a big time shout out to Slip and Dip Podcast, to my guy Kendrick, to my guy Matthew. It's so hard in podcasts come and go in this game, but you guys have been plugging away, and you've got the big 100 knocked out. So shout out to you and the work that you put in, and for giving all the athletes, both UFC and outside of the UFC, an opportunity and a platform to sell themselves. Keep doing what you're doing, guys, and I hope to see more of the show. Hope to be back here for 200. Peace.
Woo! Episode 100. We are here. Kendrick Johnson, Matthew Wells, Slip and Dip Podcast, back in your life in full effect from D-Town, Dallas, Texas. Fresh off a 2-week hiatus, I was on the scene out there in Brooklyn. Got to see the one-hitter quitter from Deontay the Bonds Bomber Wilder on Dominic Brazil. And guess what, people? The Bonds Bomber will be on the show today, kicking things off, followed by, I'll let Matt give us the rest of the day. I'm so hyped, man. So hyped.
Yeah, man. Hell of a lineup. Hell of an episode. 100th episode, man. We finally made it. As Kendrick mentioned, Deontay Wilder is on the program today. Round of applause, everybody. I don't have a round of applause soundbite. Maybe we'll work on that. But Rob Parker, you see him on FS1 every day. He's got a show with Chris Broussard as well. FS1 Radio. Fantastic journalist, man. One of the leading African-American journalists in the game, covering the Big Four. You see him on major cable networks. Used to be on ESPN as well. He is on the program today. Mr. Paulie Malignaggi is also on the show. He's making headlines these days with his upcoming fight against Artem Lobov, Bare Knuckle FC, June 22nd. And you guys have already seen the crazy press conference, so we talked to him about that and everything else. And, of course, one of the top MMA journalists in the game today will be rounding out the show for us, and that is one Mr. James Lynch, now with The Score, the lead editor over there at The Score. Download that app and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. We got Amber Alerts going off over here. It's crazy. It's crazy. 100th episode, man. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited.
We have to go big. We go home. I went back and forth. I going behind the scenes. We thank all of our guests for coming on. But let's get to the world of boxing and MMA. We'll go back to Deontay. I know it's been 2 weeks ago. If you're not a fan of Deontay Wilder, if you think that power is a fluke, ask Dominic Brazil if it's a fluke. He's the only person in the world that's been in the ring with both Joshua and Wilder. And he said getting hit by Joshua felt like getting hit by a lady. Getting hit by Wilder felt like getting hit with a sledgehammer. And the way he fell and it's went viral, that's all you need to tell.
Yeah, craziness, man. Craziness. I don't know. You must be living under a rock. And I know nobody watching this podcast has certainly seen it. Everybody that has watched this podcast has seen it at least once. So you already know what it is with that. Yeah.
The crazy thing is, I didn't see in live how he spun out like that. Like, it's like a walk, like flipping your bat in baseball. Like, he did was a home run. Like, he did was a knockout. As soon as he was like that, he spun with it. I didn't even see it. I was like so crazy that he fell out.
He definitely bat flipped on him. That was a bat flip for sure. That was a Jose Bautista bat flip on him. That's what that was. Yeah, it was crazy. Crazy moment, man. But just because everybody knows what happens when Deontay touches you, man. And then to do it, and he's got it down now to where it's like, hey, I'm gonna put so much flair on it when it lands. You would get all the photo opportunities.
But the thing I don't understand is why did Dominic
memes.
Brazil stand in front of him? Who has stood in front of Deontay and lived to tell about it?
Nobody.
When I saw that, I was like, because even Tyson Fury, he was moving and got clipped, and you saw he barely made the count, and he got hit so hard he didn't want to get back in the ring. That should have been him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Yeah, it is crazy moments, man, and that really carried the headlines for the whole week. Was that obviously we've seen so many memes and so many edits. Man, these Amber Alerts are going crazy. Yeah, so hopefully whatever's going on, man, gets figured out. I got the alerts on my phone too. It's going down in Texas tonight, people. Be safe out there. Be safe. But yeah, Deontay Wilder, like we talked to him about what he thinks about these comparisons to Mike Tyson that he's getting now. So it'd be interesting to hear him talk about that here in just a few minutes.
And updating to this weekend, if you don't know the name Devin Haney, you don't know your combat sports. That guy is a star in the making, 20 years old, 22-0, had a Deontay Wilder type knockout that's up for Canada, Knockout Canada year last night. All you gotta do is look at the slow-mo my man's pulling up and tell me, do you want to get hit by that?
Yeah, that's painful, bro. That's painful. That'll send anybody through the ropes. That's just a nasty punch to land right there. So, yeah, shout out to Devin Haney, man. He's definitely one of those guys.
Looking to have him on the show in the future.
Yeah.
It's speaking of the future, we're working on a lot of different stuff. We got a lot of people that we even had on yet that we still trying to get on behind the scenes. From people that are big in the on TV that you see all the time, big journalists, big fighters, boxing and MMA, talking to them and their people, trying to get on. We're trying to go to the show. Please send us suggestions. We may start going live more. We got a lot of different things. But one thing we're gonna add is the I don't call it the entertainment angle, but kind of like how everybody wants to talk about fighting, regardless if you're talking to high profile journalists, reality TV stars, to get people that are not necessarily a fighter, an MMA or a boxer, but somebody that you might know that trip you out their love for the combat sports world.
100%, man. It's
like Dana White says, everybody want to talk about people getting hit in the face.
Read my mind. He's like you said, his fighting is in our DNA, man. That's Dana's favorite quote, and that's so true. It's so true. I mean, hell, little children that have never seen fights before, their first reaction is always to slap at somebody. Like it's literally in our DNA. So it's anybody loves to talk about it. How involved they are is the question. But everybody loves a good fight. Everybody loves a high profile fight. So hopefully, as we get more of these people that are, connected to the different aspects of the entertainment business, we get to kind of broaden our horizons and talking to them about these kind of things as well. So look forward to that in the next episode 101 to episode 200 going forward. So yeah, what else happened this past weekend, man? There was no UFC this past weekend, so I got to take a break from the 6 hour sitting in front of my computer and television.
Props to Jamel Herring. He won the 130-pound title. A lot of people gave up on the man. He lost 2 fights. He switches over to top rank, and now he's a champion. Did what he had to do. He outworked the guy Ito, the Japanese guy, with a simple jab, basic 1-2, nothing flashy. He just outworked him. When the tough got going, when it got to late rounds, he got to going, and he won 8-4 on my card and 2 other judges, and he's the new champion. A lot of people gave up on this, man. Told him he'd never be a legit fighter, basically sit his ass down.
I'm telling you, man, the heart and determination is a crazy thing. You keep telling somebody they're not going to do something long enough, eventually they'll do it.
And he had a legit story. He had a kid that died of SIDS like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was that kid's birthday yesterday. So it was a special day in his life to for something he'll never forget, becoming a champion. With all that anniversary, you could just see the fans and stuff in his family. They were in for the emotion. What is spectacular is the Haiti fight, but he got the job done. He got that strap.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Also, tell people about our channel going with all the videos and stuff. We try to be on the scene a lot more to get y'all stuff during the week.
Yeah, obviously we want to continue to grow the YouTube channel.
Please send ideas.
Yeah, like Kendrick was out there, like you said, covering the fight. So we got some of those videos up there. And of course, if you guys have already subscribed to our channel, you know our weekly content. You get the tent pole, so to speak, in the Slip and Dip podcast, where we bring you the full interviews with all these wonderful guests that we have. And of course, if we're out there on the scene as well, we'll get those exclusive little interviews, those quick little one-on-ones, those media scrums, all that stuff we'll throw up there. throughout the week. If we got major news, we'll hop on if we can. Give some live reaction, all that kind of stuff like that. So if you're watching us for the first time, you're rocking with us for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it. And if you want to show some more love to the show, if you already have been a subscriber, if you've been rocking with us for a long time, hit us up on the Venmo, hit us up on the little donation link as well. We got the Cash App. All those links are in the description right there for you. So hit us up on one of those places to help us improve our equipment. That's basically what we would be using those donations for. So any and all donations greatly appreciated. We obviously we're just trying to grow the show here. So hit that subscribe button, hit that Cash App with the Slip and Dip. Same over there on Venmo as well, and we would definitely appreciate that. So yeah, we're just trying to grow the show. 356 subscribers right now, through 100 episodes. Not too shabby. Trying to get it up there. We're trying to hit that 1K mark quickly. I want to get that done ASAP. Help us get to 100, or not 100. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So if you're listening, share it with your friends, everything like that. Post it in your message board groups, everything like that. When we tweet out these clips of these interviews, share those around. We need to get this subscriber count up. We need it up and up and up. So we would definitely appreciate any help we can get there as well. Yeah, so that's that with the channel news as well. And of course, if you're an audio side fan, you're obviously listening to us on iTunes. We're up there on iTunes. We're up there on Spreaker. So download us there. You can find us there as well. And leave us a review on iTunes. If you can, if you will, a quick 5-star review. Doesn't cost you anything, but it does increase our visibility on the Apple Podcast app, so more people can find us. We would appreciate that.
Yeah, going to episode 100 and going. We will continue to go to the show. And if that first 100 episodes were good, we take it to another level.
100%. I can't wait to see what we have in store for these next 100 episodes, man. 1 through 100. We didn't have our first guest until episode 10, I believe.
Shout out to Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lee was going through it, man, after that last loss, but good to see that he's back on track mentally, because he looked like he was broken after that last fight. But man, he's one of the best fighters in the game. Don't listen to these people out there that are saying Kevin Lee is like done. These losses that
he's only 25.
Right, he's 26. He's 26, and these losses that he's had are to the elite of the elite. Like, I mean, top fighters in the world. It's crazy to think. Like, I don't understand this narrative that hashtag MMA fans throw out there. If a fighter loses a fight, they're washed. Like, what happens when you put a world-class fighter in the ring with a world-class fighter?
Somebody's got to lose.
Thank you. So, this whole narrative that people are throwing out there on Kevin Lee is crazy. So, shout out to Kevin Lee, man. I expect him to rebound in a strong way once he figure out which weight class he's going to stick with. Hopefully it's 170. Stay at 170. But yeah, Kevin Lee was the very first guest that we've had on this program, and up until the very last guest on this episode. The first guest on this episode, Deontay Wilder, who's been on the show 3 times now?
This was the third time.
Third time Deontay Wilder's on the show. The heavyweight champ of the world. Doesn't get much bigger than that, right? So thank you to all the guests that you just saw at the very beginning of this episode, giving us the 100 episode shout outs. Thank you guys for rocking with us to help us grow the show and give us your time, give us your energy for these interviews and all the articles and headlines that some of these interviews have created. So hopefully we get to do many more, man.
We're just getting started.
Just getting started, baby. So before we waste any more of your guys' time just rambling on about what we've done here on this program, let's get into these interviews, man. We're going to kick it off with a bang. Literally, figuratively, the most vicious knockout power in the world right now, man. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder kicking off episode
the Bomb Squad himself.
100. Till this day, you're going to love it. We didn't get him on video, but hey, the audio is
fire.
It's fire. It's fire audio. Everybody else is on video the rest of the show. So enjoy this podcast. Enjoy episode 100. Until episode 101, man.
We rock it till this day. Please welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast, one of our marquee guests for episode 100, fresh off his destruction of Dominic Brazil, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. and friend of the show, Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Thanks for coming on, champ.
Man, anytime, man. How you doing?
Hey, doing good, man. Appreciate you keeping up our tradition, catching you after the fight, man. I know you have a lot going on. Give us just some insight to people don't see the stuff that, like, I know I was around you a little bit in New York and stuff about the stuff that goes into that has nothing to do with fighting that you have to do leading up to a mega fight. A lot of people don't know that what you have to go through. They just see you show up on Saturday and knock people out. They don't realize that you have to do stuff that has nothing to do with boxing and just the preparation.
Yeah, man. What are you talking about? Like when the week of the fight?
Yeah, the week of the fight, all the craziness. Like people realize your life is straight chaos.
Yeah, the week of the fight is a mess, man. You know, actually with this time we had to cut some stuff down, man. Before I got to New York, I had this long list, and man, there was probably about 20 different things going on that list. And man, you if you're a fighter, if you haven't been in the game and you experienced it for yourself, getting in that ring, and you already had a long preparation for the actual fight, and then you go to somewhere to promote the fight, and you got 20 things more to do. Like, that's not healthy for a fighter. And we don't hold the people accountable for wanting interviews, and you got morning shows that there's only views in the morning, and sometimes it's depends on what it is that it got a lot of views and rankings and stuff like that. You do the major things, but certain things you just have to fall back, and people don't understand that. They just think that we just get in the ring, we're gonna fight. Well, it's fighting, you know what I mean? What is it gonna be during? You gotta understand you're traveling, you're meeting different people along the way, you're taking you sign the autograph, you're taking pictures, and then when you get there, you're doing the same thing, and then you have to talk. So it's a continuance of conversations, a continuance of meeting people, and us talking. That's us, giving out our energy as well. To talk, it takes a lot of energy to talk. Just imagine, 50 people, then 100 people, then 150, then turn it to 2. It becomes very exhausting, and I don't think people understand the concept of having a fighter and the obligation that he had to fulfill, and putting that into consideration of our lives, man. That takes a lot. With the Ortiz fight, I was drained. You hear me? Nobody, man, in the Ortiz fight, it was one of my worst camps I ever had. I was sick as a dog, and then I was already drained even before going to the fight because of the obligation I had to fulfill, because of promoting and getting out. Because Ortiz can't speak English, so right. I've always had to promote for myself. I've always had to do it by myself when it comes to the week of the fight, and when you get someone that can help you along the way, just like when I had the Fury fight, it's refreshing. That's why I was telling people it's refreshing that I can sit back finally and just don't really have to say nothing, because it takes a lot, man. People don't put that in consideration because they don't know, but it takes a lot.
Here's a two-part question. When you dreamed about your knockout of Dominic before the fight, did it go down exactly how you wanted to? And how much better of a fighter are you from going through that fight with Fury?
Well, I didn't dream of the knockout like that. I do a lot of meditation. I visualize with meditation, so I visualize me knocking him out. But when I visualize, I just visualize about me knocking him out. Of course, you have to visualize, how you want it to happen, because you want the knockout. You want it in I want it in a devastating fashion, and I see myself land him straight out. When I visualized it, he was going under the ropes. But what really happened in the fight, and then he didn't go on the road. His body just went straight numb, which I'll take it either way it goes. That's just the thing about it. When you meditating and visualizing and speaking things to existence, it may not come as you want it, but it gonna come in that form of fashion. It's the law of attraction, and that's what I try to teach and give people the insight of. Like, we can ask for things, and it may not come in the package that we want. It may come greater. Many times that I've wanted things and I said I was going to have things, and I got one of my best friends here right now, he'll tell you, everything I've spoken, I have to this day. I have it. And the way I had it, and the way I got it, it was way more pleasurable, and way more came into it. When they say your blessings come 10 times fold, man, did it come 10 times fold? many things that I asked for, I done got it, but I done got it even better than what I asked. Everything I have, I got it, but I got it way better than that I asked for. And I think that just comes with patience. And like I tell people, what come with patience, come time. And we got to understand how to differentiate the two. But once we understand and come together and understanding that, we got to be able to exercise and apply it to life, man.
So Deontay, what do you think about these comparisons now that you have this devastating knockout? Obviously, like it's still viral, man. I still see it getting retweeted every day. But I'm seeing a lot of comparisons now that like you're like the new Mike Tyson. What do you think about that in terms of like in-ring performances?
I think it's awesome, man. It's very refreshing. At this point, I've came a long way. I've had to deal with a lot of adversity. I had to deal with a lot of hatred, which I'm still dealing with now. But all the greats have dealt with hatred. It comes. People want to hate you before they love you. In times, man, they want to give you your flowers while you're dead, instead while you're being alive. And we just this backward psychology that people have in that mindset. Your mindset is very strong on how you carry yourself and how you think. It allows you to perform in times where you don't even think you can perform on a certain level. But I'm just blessed, man. It's been an amazing ride for me. I think I've paid the cost to be the boss. And people consider, boxing now, it was in a dead place, man. It was so dead, man, about 10 years ago. And to the point where no one knew who the heavyweight champion of the world were here in America, because the guys that had it at the time, they wasn't Americans, and they only, fought in other countries. And it is, for me, I won't take all the credit. It's a lot of other fighters that's in the, far as America, they take a lot of, that have done a lot of things to make it exciting, but, I've definitely been the majority in America. Let's look at it. I'm the most exciting heavyweight in the division, period. And just trying to work our way to make it back to what it is now. Here in America, it's so tough. It's so hard because boxing is not our top sport. And, like I said, we had our drought, man, where nobody knew who the fucking champion of the world were. It was crazy. And now that it's so exciting and it's so lit now, we have more viewership. More people come in. You got the casual fans that coming in, want to learn about it. And man, all eyes is open now with boxing, and the sky's the limit. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. And the other question, I didn't answer the second question about with the Fury fight. It only, with that fight, when I came into that fight, like I said, by it being so hard here in America to build it and get it, and it's one of those moments where, like, damn, it's like when I went through my head, I was like coming out the tunnel and looking, I was like, man, I finally got the attention. I finally got the people. Boxing has been so hard here in America, man. It ain't like it over there across the pond anywhere else. All those people, they're just one of their own kind, so they gonna support, especially in the UK, they support boxing. It's like college football or basketball we have here. Like, we support that here, but they could never understand the difference between the two, until they came over here and started realizing. But with that fight, I was just in my moment, man. They caught me in a moment what I've been seeking for so long, just to see where boxing, the state of boxing were, where and where it is now. You know what I'm saying? Coming up, you're like, damn, it's just hard. And to finally get that glimpse of that taste of them, like, damn, we done it. We're here. We're here. And it made me want to do something that I already know how to do. I normally do. I'm blessed to do. And that's to knock him out. I went in there too impatient. I went in there wanting to put on a great show, a great knockout, while forcing, without letting myself throw my hands, and that was the only difference in that fight. The Fury fight was very easy. Nothing wasn't hard about that fight. When I go back and look, and I think about, I'm like, damn, I was definitely trying to get myself out of there, but it's like I kept getting in my moment. I wanted to get this guy out of there. Then when I finally calmed down, I told him in the press conference, you're going to have to be perfect for 12 rounds, I only have to be perfect for 2 seconds. And when I cool down in that 4th round, those 2 seconds is all I needed. And you seeing what happened. But man, it was a great card, man. I don't take nothing back from nothing. Everything is going as planned, and everything is in progress and forming like it's supposed to, man. And I'm just blessed, bro.
So it'd be safe to say when your WC belt was coming from the roof of Staples Center, that's a moment you won't ever forget, because to be there was pretty cool. You had J-Rock doing his win, and it was like, okay, Deontay got some flavor. So personally, that's something that you'll never forget.
Oh, most definitely, all that, man. We wanted to make sure we turned that into a whole event, and I think job done. Job well done, man. Everybody that played a part, did a great job. And just coming out, I told them, man, people are going to pay their hard-earned money. And if boxing is back in America, we're going to get them a show. We want to get them an event, something that they can come and look forward to, a great event, and they can gather, memories while they're there. And then when they leave, they have memories to leave with and say, wow, that was a great card. I'm glad I spent my money. I like to be a happy spender, in everyday life. If I want to buy something, I want to be happy buying it. You know what I mean? Ain't no need of being stressed and depressed and you finna go buy something just so for looks and lights. You know what I mean? I ain't in that business, man. I want to be happy. So when I look at, boxing and, when people come into my event, I think, I think like the average person, I'm like, well, money, and so, cause I'm a person that came from the bottom, baby, so I understand. I still use those. I understand everything that goes with people that just live in job paycheck to paycheck and different things. Like, I never forget. I still go to the grocery store now. I enjoy it. I still want to know what's going on with prices and different things, man. I never get to the point where I'm making too much money and and I start not worrying about certain things. When you start doing like that, that's when the devil come in. That's when people start stealing from you. You don't know who to trust because you done got too far away from reality. I don't want to never get out of touch with reality. So that's why I continue to do what I do, now. But, man, it's been amazing for me, man. The love and everything, man. I'm just a happy camper right now, living my life, man, and Saturday was amazing, and it's just more to come, man. It's so many places to start, It's so much to talk about, man. I run my mouth all day long, you know that now.
That's why I want to bother you with the Joshua stuff. Does it trip you out with the boxing media? We all know the politics, or at least we should, because that's our job. They still ask you these crazy questions when, at the end of the day, we know it's not your fault. It's how the politics are.
Yeah, man, that's just one of those things, like when I say patience and time to come together, because it's so many different things that have been asked about that situation. And, if people have been keeping up with it, they most understand and know who really wanted it and who didn't. Like, this is not even a hard situation to read, It was at one point in time where you saw Deontay Wilder lowered his standards on so many occasions, especially with the money, 12.5, 15 flat fee. All that, knowing that this fight and the magnitude that it could be, especially when it comes to America, I would lower my standards all the way down just to prove, just to give the fans what they want to see, just so, just to do it. You know what I mean? And now at this point in time, you've seen the roles reversed. We kept telling them, America different. Kept telling America different. It's a different market. It's a different way of doing things. This is the mecca of boxing. You can make the most money here. And now that he done got here, they wanted me to raise the profile and do so many different things. I'm like, all right, your wish is my command. And we did that. We raised everything. Now you allow me to do all that, and now I done went and betted on myself. Now now the roles are reversed. It's a different story now. So, man, they played themselves. They was on their high horse, and now they the one begging for the fights now. Well, you could have been had this fight. This could have been happened a long time ago. But nah, y'all don't want it. But they still don't want it now. Joshua want it, but I don't think Hearns don't really want it. they got to say so of him, and that's why everyone has to wait at this point.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. Not mad at it at all. And one thing about the fight with Brazil that I think a lot of people are kind of overlooking, obviously, because of that last punch was obviously so devastating. But one thing I noticed is that you had that right hand chambered, like from that exchange before. Like before y'all got separated, and then like you walk in, you still keep it chambered. So like, were you seeing that shot there before it happened, like that exchange before?
Well, I saw many different shots. You know, yeah, man. I was seeing many different openings as the time went on. You know, at that point in time, I was just calculating. I was just calculating what I was, you know, different looks. I was, you know, everything becoming a muscle memory that I've seen in camp. Like, to be honest, my sparring partners was better than Dominic, you know. No, you know, this is no disrespect to him because of what happened to the fight. Now, this is actual. This is real. This, like, even before coming into this fight, I had guys, you know, way better than him, you know, in our opinion, was strongly opinion, and they gave me great work. So the preparation for this fight was amazing. So I was more than ready for him. Like I told him, I was trained. I don't look over no one, but I do look through them. I window shop a little bit, and that's what I always say. So, I mean, you gotta. I mean, how can you get to the next step if you can't see yourself going there? You know, like I said, you can't look open after he ain't no wall. I can't just run through him, but I can look through him. I can, you know, take my mind and visualize myself looking through him to the next obstacle, to the next course, to the next designated spot, and that's what I do, you know. But I was well prepared for him, and every time I got closer and closer, I started seeing different things. But during that point in time when we broke up, you know, the first time that I took Dominic to the corner and we was exchanged punches, somewhere up in the cross of fire, my arms got caught or something, and it allowed it to become numb, man. It like my whole left arm like just lit on fire. You can feel that heat flaring up, you know, from my fist all the way up to my elbow to my shoulder. So that's why I didn't really throw it that much, because I was just letting that numbness, I was letting that hypertension feeling get out of there. And so when it did that, and I came back out of the bounce, and I'm pulling my gloves back on, right, you know, I see the opening open just like that. And anyone knows and studied Wilder, you can tell that I'm a master of the 1-2. I'm the master of the right hand, especially when it connects. And all I needed, that one window, that little window that he gave an opening to. And we know Dominic Brazil do not move his head. He closes his eyes when contact is coming towards him, and that's the worst thing you can do, because what you don't see, it hurts you, you know. You know, and that's the most dangerous thing, to take a punch that you don't see. Because you don't know the effect that it's going to bring to you. When it hits your face, then it's going to shake your brain, and then everything else is forming. And by the time you wake up, you on the ground, and there's somebody in your face talking about 3. Talk
about
what the hell going on? I don't know how. Like Fury said, he don't know how he got down. He don't know, how he got up. But somebody helped him. But I saw the shot, man, and I'm very. What they don't understand about me is that they can say many things about me, but the one thing about me, I'm very fast. I'm quick. I'm quicker than what they expect me to be. So when that opening opened up for me, I instantly took it. Pop, pop. It was just like, it was a muscle memory, though. It wasn't nothing I had to think about. And that's what my intellect in the ring is so high in there. And that's why I like, when fighters say, oh, all I got is this, or all I do is that, I'm a one-trick pony. Every fighter that says, like, every one of them said that to this point. So I don't know when it's going to come reality. Like, you guys are wrong. Some ain't working. Some ain't right. But I love when they think that way, because they don't really have, and that's just my thing of looking at them, they analyzing me and trying to figure out, like, what it is about this guy. They want to say everything else beside that, he is special. He is special. You don't see this man come around every so many decades. This is every blue moon. I'm one of one. I'm one of my own kind, and they can't train for me. So the only thing logic they can say is the same old thing that's been said, but try to use it in camp in a different way. And I smile when they say that. I smile when trainers say that. I smile when fighters say that. I like they still ain't figured me out. They still got that same poison mindset. And that ain't gonna work against me because I'm very smart in the ring and I'm very fast in what I look.
Do you think they will realize that you're a transcendent talent, a la like a LeBron James in basketball or Cristiano Ronaldo in soccer? You think they still ain't got the memo? And talk about that spin, because being there live, we were just tripping out that he fell so fast. And then when I saw the replay and you see you spin, it's like you walked off on him boxing style, because you rarely see a knockout like that.
Yeah, man. You know, Kendrick, I'm walking in my manifestation, man. 33 Magic. What is for me is for me. I keep saying this over and walking in my manifestation. This is my manifestation. This is my time to shine. And I understand it. I've been sitting back, marinating, and just taking notes, calculating data, you know, just taking notes. It's been the longest reigning champion, you know. It takes a hard responsibility to be the champ, man. You got to understand a lot of things while still staying in shape and keeping yourself ready. First, having a strong mindset, and then everything else follow behind it, because you got to understand that, man. You still got young lions trying to eat, man. You got guys that's still at the bottom that you ain't heard of them yet, but they coming. They on the scene. They may be 1 fight, 2 fights away. You know, a devastating knockout, and everybody knowing, and then that's your next challenger. And you have to be prepared. I must stay ready. So, you know, me, you know, sitting back and marinating and taking all this in, going through so many different things throughout my career, man, it allowed me to just sit back and have that experience, you know. And now that I'm in my manifestation, I know exactly what to do with it. You know, it's just like you getting $1 million and somebody you just overnight to getting $1 million. You know, you don't know what you're gonna do with that money. You probably can plan it out and say what you did, but you know, you ain't had enough time. You ain't experienced it. You ain't never had that before. So how you know what to do with it? It ain't the same. It ain't gonna be the same like you done it before. And then it coming, you know, you done been through it so many times, and now you come around here. Here's another step in your life, but even on a bigger platform. But you understand what you're going through. See, I've been through this so many times. I've been, like I said, I'm the longest reigning champion. I've been a champion in 2015. I understand so much. I've been through so much in boxing. You know, I done had a lot of guys that put a halt on my career, you know, from making the great fights due to PEDs and different things and negotiate. Man, I've been through so much, and at this point right now, it just feel like I'm experienced. I'm one of the most experienced in here because of my experience of being through so many different things. So now I'm on this platform. You seeing as people call the LeBron James of boxing, you know, the Michael Jordan of boxing. You know, I love to be in that character, especially when you talk about Michael Jordan and different sports. You know, we always have that one name. You think of certain sports, you think of that one great out of that sport. You know, it's like boxing. We instantly think about Muhammad Ali. At least I do. You know, everybody got their own different kinds, and before it's over with, that's what I want to be remembered as. When they say boxing, the first name coming to their head was Deontay Wilder. He was a bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? That man was bad, and that's what we're trying to transpire, and that's what's going to happen. You know, because like I said, and I always say, my grandma said I was anointed by God. I was meant to do this. And what was your second question?
Man, he hit on.
I'll go on with mine then. I'll go on with mine then, Deontay. So this morning, my fiance, right? She doesn't watch the fights like I do. She doesn't cover the fights, obviously, like I do either. But I've taken her to a couple of fights, and she appreciates, you know, after the fight is over, right? When guys are doing their interviews and guys are like real happy and almost tearing up and whatnot. So this morning I asked her, I was like, if you could ask the heavyweight champ of the world one thing, what would it be? And I expected her to be like, get out of my face, like go, like, I'm about to eat breakfast, right? But then her eyes lit up, and I was like, oh, she's interested in this, okay. And then she asked, this is her question to you, Deontay, was
Okay.
how does Deontay Wilder celebrate after a fight like that? Like, what kind of meal do you have? How do you treat yourself after a fight like that, after a knockout like that makes so many headlines?
Man, I could tell her one thing. It's definitely not. I don't party like a lot of these celebrities party hard when after a victory or athletes. That's for sure. But no downgrade to them, man. Everybody live their best life. But for me, man, I'm just simple. You know what I mean? I've always came up and we always said we celebrate for 15 minutes and we move on to the next. That's just the motto that we use, that we go by. So mentally, my mindset is stuck on that. But, physically, emotionally, we express, I express myself. I had a dinner, a big dinner for all my family and stuff. And then, what we was at, the Pomona, the Savage out in New York. And that's where we ended the night with we had a nice they got a nice restaurant there with a club in the back or something like that. It's like through some slide. It's like a private room, slide doors. You wouldn't even tell it was doors right there. Man, I was like, what in the secret freaking stuff is this? And it's like some book sales, and you slide the door back, and it's a big club in the back, man. It was dope. I've never seen it before, but we had DJ Clue on the ones and twos, and everybody just had a great time, man. We had a lot of positive people come through, and a lot of positive energy, and with all that result to a positive night, man, of celebrating and everybody having fun and talking about the fight. It was amazing. So I ended up eating dinner, mingling with some of the guests that came. I didn't party, and then and I went back to my hotel room and enjoyed the rest of my night. It was that's it. You know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of people, but I'm like that. I'm not a big partier type of person. I have a lot of clubs that want me to come, and they ask me to host it and do different things and want to have a party for me and stuff. But I'm an energy person. I'm a true energy person, and I go off the energy and the way I feel about things. Even when the way I meet people or certain things, I've always been like that, and it allowed me to guide myself in the right direction. It allowed me to meet the right people. It allowed me to say no when it was time to say no. That's why it ain't hard for me to say no.
That's why we appreciate you coming on, brother. We appreciate you coming on, man. It's a big deal. This is our 100th episode. You've been one of our most viewed people. When we have you on, we get a lot of traffic. We greatly appreciate you taking the time out your day, man. And realizing we didn't just jump on the bandwagon as you got all these people that be popping up out the blue. We've been on the D Wilder bandwagon for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, most definitely, man. When I say something, I mean it. If I give you my word on something, that's my word, and I always appreciate it, man. When guys come together, brothers come together, talking about boxing, and the love of it. That's what I'm about, man. So I always try to give my time to those that I can give it to. I may not reach everyone, but like I said, we keep living, we keep surviving. And you just never know when that bridge may be time to cross.
And final question before we let you go. Can you give a message to people listening to this that's like, man, he still ain't that best fighter. They still ain't got the minimum of your greatness. And can you close us out with a bomb squad to this day?
Yes, sir. First of all, to all my fans, man, I just want to tell you guys, man, I love you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. As I was explaining earlier, it took a long time for us to get here. We came from the bottom, baby. And I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. It allowed me to be a observer. It allowed me to really know my worth. That's why we betting on myself. I'm betting on myself, and we done came a long way. And now that we're here, we done paid the cost to be the boss, baby. And we ain't going nowhere. There will be one champion, one face, one name. And we talking about soon. And he go by the name of Deontay Wilder. So we'll have those bragging rights. We'll be able to bring all these belts back to America. And long live the king. And to those that's still not sure, after the devastating knockout like that, I displayed to you for Saturday night, you're still not sure, then keep living, baby. Buckle your seatbelt. It's against the law to drive without it anyway, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. It's going to be a long ride. And along the way, it's going to be exciting as well when you're dealing with a Deontay Wilder. Because, you know, like I said, there will be one champion, one face, one name. And if you ain't a part of the party boat now, when that time comes, you might not have enough space or room. You know, so you better get on board right now, baby, because the glory chain is chucking. Choo-choo! And I can't wait to the day. And I'll talk to y'all later, baby. Bomb Squad!
No more words need to be said, man. We appreciate the time, brother. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Appreciate you too, Chris. Thanks for helping us out.
Man, anytime. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a wonderful, blessed day, man. I'll talk to you later.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast, one of our big guests for episode 100, one of the best pound-for-pound commentators in the boxing game, and he can still throw down. He'll return to the ring June 22nd at Brown Knuckle Brawling, fighting Arno Lobov, Mr. Paulie, Malignaggi. Thanks for coming on, Paulie.
Yeah, what's up, man? Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
What keeps you motivated to fight at this stage of your career? Like, you got money, you ain't have to get hit in the head to make money. Doing your commentating and breaking out the boxing game. What makes you still motivated to go up in there and throw down?
Well, you know, it's a combination of things, you know. And money's obviously part of it. I mean, it's no such thing as extra money, you know. Just because I have some money, doesn't mean I want to make even more money, you know, especially when it's going to come easy, you know. This is an easy fight, and this is easy money for an easy fight, you know. So it's like, it was kind of hard to say no when it was presented to me. And of course, you know, a piece of you always misses the limelight. A piece of you always misses that, you know, narcissistic feeling of being a fighter and being the center of attention and whatnot. So it's a combination of a lot of things. But, you know, I can't say it's just a motivation of fighting and just a motivation of the attention. I can't say it's just a motivation of the money. And I can't say it's just a motivation of having a real dislike for this guy too. It's probably a combination of everything.
So how much was the press conference real? Was that more real than your press conference with Broner back in the day? Because it's like, y'all got heated, but y'all didn't come close to fighting like that.
Yeah, like they're all real. They're all real, you know. But like there's different levels of realness, you know. I'm not really an actor when it comes to my combat. You know, I don't mind having a crazy promotional because I feel like I fight better when I get when I get riled up. But with Adrian, I was annoyed at him, but it was more like I was annoyed at the chick because she wasn't really that important and she became important, and I felt like some side bitch used me to use me and Adrian to try to get some attention. You know, like if she had been like somebody important, maybe it would have. If she had been somebody that had been important in my life, maybe it would have been a bit more, even more real. You know, like I'm not saying that doesn't make it not real. Like it still made it annoying, and I was still annoyed during that promotion and whatnot. But that's why it's also easy to be cool with Adrian now, because at the end of the day, that bitch didn't mean anything. You know what I mean? But in this case, you know, me and Conor McGregor really sparred, and so the lying that comes out of that spar, the lying that's backed up by his whole team, and the refusal to show a real video of it. You know, that kind of messed up my reputation a little bit. So it was kind of a nuisance to deal with. And so it was like, this is a direct impact. Like, obviously I can't hit the bitch in the face. So I had to fight Adrian, right? So, but this particular situation, I could punch one of these motherfuckers in the face. You know, like I could beat the shit out of one of them. So you know, any one of them that gets in the ring with me is going to get the shit beat out of them. So the more the merrier, you know what I mean? So I got one of them in the ring, so obviously, yeah, it's going to cause bad blood because I'm about to get to fight one of them and actually make him personally pay for it.
So, isn't it kind of crazy though? Like, I mean, what is it? It seems like it's like damn near 2 years now. We're still talking about a sparring video.
Yeah,
that has not come out, and the fact that it hadn't come out, it tells me that there's something on there that they don't want seen.
Yeah. Well, you guys also also have put the pressure on them too. I mean, I saw his media scrum with the media guys, and you guys, I think one of you, were both of you there, or one of you was there?
No, I was there. I left New York. I left New York that Monday. I wanted to stay. Remember when I saw you at the fight? Because they put the shit out so late. I would have extended myself by an extra hour.
I saw the scrum, and people ask him about the sparring all the time, and then they just take his word for it. Like he just says, "Oh, Connor beat him up," but nobody actually puts him on the spot and be like, "All right, bro, it's been 2 years. Everybody talking about it, including Connor, including you. So let's have it, let's see it. And if you haven't seen it, then we kind of know the truth already. Nobody kind of puts him on the spot. They love putting me on the spot because they're groupies and pussies. But really, at the end of the day, like, the hard questions have to be asked of that side, not of me. I've pretty much broken it down to you the way it went and every which way it could have gone and every which way, it went, aside from, being able to get you a real video. They have the video. So when asking them about what happened in the spar, you kind of have to put them on the spot at this point and say, okay, it's not like it hasn't been talked about the past 2 years. It constantly gets talked about to the point where it's actually annoying. So let's see. And the fact that you're not showing it, obviously, it's up to you guys to say, bro, you ain't showing it. Your boy got his ass kicked. Like who you kidding at this point? Like nobody puts him on the spot. Nobody puts Connor on the spot. A real media member at this point would be like, come on, bro. You got your ass kicked. Who you kidding? You know what I mean? Like, come on. It's been 2 years. You showed 8 seconds. Come on, who you kidding? You know what I mean? Or even Artem. Like, come on, boy. Your boy got his ass whooped. Who you kidding? You know what I mean? Like at this point, a real reporter would have said that already. You know what I mean? Right to his face. But everybody wants to suck dick. Nobody actually wants. Nobody wants to actually do their job.
Did you learn anything about how Habib dealt with them? Did you learn anything from that? From how Habib and his crew dealt with them? Did you learn anything from that?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of backed up what I already knew. None of these guys have any character. You know what I mean? Connor's always quit. I knew Connor had no character when I was in camp with him. You know what I mean? So that's why I said he had no balls that week that he fought Mayweather, because I already knew, like, this guy's got no character. You press him, and he's gonna bitch up. You know what I mean? And that's what he's done. It's funny because since I said that, all he's done is bitch up when he's been pressed. You know what I mean? He's been pressed up. He was pressed by Floyd and stopped fighting and got it stopped. And he was pressed by Khabib in the fight and tapped out. You know what I mean? So, but also it's not just Conor. I mean, Artem got slapped by Khabib, and just because there's a few guys around Khabib, you don't react. Like, buddy, you're a grown man. I don't care if there's 5 guys. If you slap me, I'm gonna swing back, even if I'm gonna get my ass whooped. Just on the simple fact that it's pride. It's a pride thing that you don't slap me. You know what I mean? So, like, the whole crew is just bitches. You know what I mean? The whole crew is just bitches. So, but it's all right. It's not that I didn't know. It's more so just exposing it, and it's kind of fun to expose it. And that's why they get mad at me all the time. That's why they stay mad at me, because they know I'm right.
So the promotion for this fight with that press conference, obviously it's still blowing up, like everything. And, some people are saying that you took it too far with the spitting. So what do you have to say to responding to that?
I told them to suck my dick. That's what I told them. That's it. I don't care, bro. You cannot take something out of context and then say it went too far. This entire thing went too far 2 years ago. You know what I mean? You cannot then say everything that happens after it and everything that spins out of control after it and take those things out of context individually and say any of that is too far. When it went too far, it was 2 years ago. Anything that happens after it, now it's just a byproduct of that. You know what I mean? So you can't look at me and anybody, and I have been looked at by some people and say, oh, Paulie took it too far. And you know what? That's a lot of pussy in these people. You know what I mean? Because for somebody to say it went too far, you're not taking the whole respecting you're not putting the whole respecting into context. This is a matter of respect. You know what I mean? So once I have not been given any respect at all, there is no need to respect you in any way. As a matter of fact, I will intentionally disrespect you. I would have spit on his mother and his kids if they were there. I wouldn't have just spit on him. It just so happened to be that only he was there. You know what I mean? But honestly speaking, not only do I not regret it, but I would have spit on his mother and his kids too if they were there. You know what I mean? Because there's no need to respect this guy or anybody involved with that side. Respect doesn't. The word shouldn't even be used. The word respect shouldn't even come into context. Disrespectful or anything. Nothing with the word respect should come into context when it comes to these people or dealing with these people, because there's none of that is needed. So there's no need even mentioning it.
Do you think people don't realize that you're really about that life, Paulie?
I think people don't realize I'm about that life, but it's okay. Like, when you're about that life, you don't really cheerlead you're about that life. You know what I mean? Your actions speak for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not about that life. I'm a pro boxer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a street guy. But at the end of the day, there are certain reasons why I got into boxing to avoid certain things in my life. You know what I mean? So those things always stay with you, and they're in your character. You know what I mean? And certain ways of reasoning and certain morals and moral standards you stand by that obviously are from the street that will stay with you no matter what. You know what I mean? And obviously I grew up around people like that, and if boxing didn't come for me and save me, maybe I will end up being in there. You know what I mean? Because I still live by those standards. I don't have to cheerlead it. I don't have to broadcast it. I try to be a professional person. Obviously, I work in a corporate world now with television and whatnot, and I do my best to not have to cheerlead that. Because honestly, if you're about that life, you don't cheerlead it anyway. The way I grew up, real gangsters move in silence.
Does it give you extra motivation and pride to people in the boxing community? I saw many people while we were talking, 2 or 3 people. Man, go get that motherfucker. Like the people boxing really support you.
I didn't intend for this to become boxing versus MMA. I never did. As a matter of fact, if anybody looks at my old interviews or any interviews that when I was asked to compare boxing and MMA, I always had very good things to say about both sports because I've always felt like if you do combat for a living, there's a respect that has to be given and should be given. But at the end of the day, the way this has all transpired and the way the disrespect has come, not just from fans, because obviously fans will respect and disrespect in both sports, but honestly, from the actual MMA community, from actual fighters, from actual people that were involved with it. And not all of them, because I've also got some friends in the MMA community, and I've got to really broadcast that out and let people know that it's not so much the entire MMA community, but there is a piece of that MMA community, including the fighters, right, where it's become real disrespectful and really try to downplay everything from our boxing side. So and I'll really try to downplay the dangers in general that we deal with, And I know some people have said, "Oh, why is Paulie proud of the fact that there's more deaths in boxing?" I'm not proud of it, bro. I'm actually the one standing up for these people because your punk asses are the ones saying we hit with pads and we don't hurt each other, but we're the ones with the deaths. So I'm actually, by me saying that, I'm actually standing up for the people that got hurt, for the people that have had to deal with the consequences, because the other side has never had to deal with those consequences. So for me saying the things I say, I'm not proud of it, but I have to stand up for the people I know personally that have gone through this kind of thing and are still going through this kind of thing.
I think a lot of this is also like pretty genius considering like the timing of everything with Bare Knuckles still trying to get off the ground and everything and bringing in a guy like yourself with this rivalry. Like you've got people talking about this fight being the biggest fight in June compared to UFC title fights, which is kind of crazy.
Let me tell you something. I was always, and I'm going to say this, and people, this might be controversial. I was always the most marketable fighter in boxing. I was always, but I never got marketed and promoted the right way. I was always marketed and promoted as an opponent for other stars. I was always on the B side. I always had to kind of climb my way through as an underdog and whatnot. I was never marketed and moved as an A-side guy, even though I had all the marketability. As a teenager, all I was told was, bro, you're going to be a star. You have everything. You're able to speak. You're good looking. You have the complexion for the connection, which is actually the biggest bullshit of all. The complexion for the connection is the biggest bullshit of all. I'm still waiting for my white prize in the mail every day just to be white. I don't get it. I check the mail every day for it, but I don't get it. You know what I mean? It never comes. Maybe eventually it'll come and I'll be able to say, okay, you know what? The complexion got me something. But all the complexion got me was being the opponent in the B-side for monsters in their prime. Not just the monsters, but I had to fight the monsters at their best, no less. You know what I mean? So, and you know what? I was able to make do and make money, and I'm happy. And I was happy I was able to partake because if you don't take part, you're missing out, So either way, in the end, I took all these tough fights regardless because that was the only way I could take part. But I always felt like I was the most marketable fighter in boxing, and my marketability was used just to generate interest in being the opponent for other stars, for other fighters that were being developed as stars, So with BKFC, it's actually finally given me a platform where they're marketing me as a star. Like I've got my own platform and say, hey, Paulie, take it away. And look what I've done. This fight shouldn't be the biggest fight in June. There's a lot of big fights in June, but everybody's talking about this fight as the biggest fight in June. This is what I do when you give me the platform. If boxing would have given me the platform from the go, from when I was a 20-year-old kid who was a national amateur champion, was a good-looking kid, had everything going for him, and who ended up winning a world title in his 20s still, like that, I think I could have done a lot more for the sport, but I'm happy that I'm getting my opportunity here and doing it here, and it's going to be a fun little run. Obviously, you don't campaign at 38 years old. You do it for however long you're going to do it. Maybe I'll do it for a year or two with this BKFC stuff. But it's fun to actually be able to take part in a way where I'm given my platform and get to do it. And honestly, it's obviously the combination of the right opponent too, and the guy that kind of gets under my skin and irks me. And sometimes maybe it has gotten out of hand, but I'm not telling you every single promotion would have gotten out of hand like this if you'd marketed me right. But I know what to do. I know what to say at the right moment. I know how to put it into proper context. And most importantly, I know when to turn it on and off. That's why I work on TV.
So how you train for this? Like, you train like you do your boxing fight, or it's a little bit different because it's going to be a lot more flesh wounds? Like, how you train for this stuff?
We're training mainly like our boxing, but obviously there's some little different things. A lot of the pad work, or mitt work, and a lot of the bag work is also barehanded. Some of it is gloved up, some of it is not. We're working on situations where it's funny because the timing slightly changes when you have bare hands as opposed to when you have boxing. It slightly changes, and even your distance slightly changes. I notice that when I'm hitting the bag and the pads, but it's to my advantage as well because I'm fast as hell, bro. You know what I mean? So like giving me barehanded and giving me the ability to work my magic in that way. Yeah, okay. Do you have to be careful with your hands? Absolutely. But even I'm not born yesterday, bro. You know what I mean? Like I've been. It's not like I haven't been in street fights. I know I can't throw everything hard. You know what I mean? And I have to mention this kind of falls into my boxing style because I was never a guy who turtled up and put the gloves up. I was never that kind of guy where everybody's saying, "Oh, boxers can't do this because they don't. You can't turtle up in this." I was never a guy who defended in a turtle up fashion, like say a Winky Wright. And also, I was never a guy who put maximum power on all my shots because I had hand problems even in boxing. So I learned to throw my punches at 50-60% for most of my fights anyway. You know what I mean? So this goes hand in hand and it goes in kind of perfectly with what I do naturally.
So how long does the fight end?
How long is what?
How long does the fight go before you end it?
I would like it to go into the 5th round before I end it. I'd like to go to the last round. I want to make his face fall off, bro. That's my goal. my goal is to cut it so bad that layers of his face are falling off. Forget cuts. I want the layers to come off his face. You know what I mean? Like I want to rearrange. I want to make sure he needs plastic surgery when I'm done with him. You know what I mean? So like I want to make sure that if he lasts long enough, and if he's really as tough as he says he is, and he's saying he's so tough, and that's what he's known for, right? And he's saying he takes shin bones to the head. Well, motherfucker, you better last now because my intention is make your face fall off, and I need all 5 rounds to make his face fall off.
Do you want Conor to be there in his corner?
I don't care. I could care less, bro. I already dealt with Conor, bro. People might not want to hear it, but I already dealt with Conor, bro. I was out of shape. Smack that pussy around already. What do we got to deal with Conor for? If he wants to come and yell a little bit and throw some stuff like a little kid, sure, he can come. What is he gonna do? You know what I mean? But this is me and Artem right now, and if Conor shows up, then we can deal with Conor too.
And final question before we let you out of here. How good does it feel to have people like, it's kind of like your career went full circle. You're like the A side. People respecting your skills. It's like it's like everything you've been put together. It's kind of carried to this, even though it's outside the boxing ring. How's it going to be very relevant? Like I'd say the last month, your name's in the top 5 in combat sports.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was trying to say before. The BKFC gave me the platform that I think boxing kind of dropped the ball on. You know what I mean? Like I remember actually. I'll tell you a story. I remember taking part in the first tryout for the Contender, the first Contender series when it was on NBC, the very first season when Sergio Mora won it. And I remember they had they were going to different cities and making people spar. And then if you did good in sparring, they would bring you into a room and interview you and then try to, gauge your personality. They wanted good fighters, but they also wanted good personalities. And I remember I remained friends with one of the people that was the talent scout, one of the people that was the interviewer. They had several interviewers that were trained in talent scouting. You know what I mean? Like in terms of personality scouting. If you were good enough as a boxer, you went into this room and they interviewed you and you had to make a second cut. And they fell in love with me. They fell in love with me to when they had to have me. And then, I was under a contract with my promoter at the time and it didn't work out. My promoter wouldn't let me out. My promoter wouldn't work with them. Ultimately, all's well that ends well. I didn't do the Contender that season. I didn't do Contender at all. But I always remained friends with this particular person that was a talent scout. Years later, when the Contender went off the air, and now it's actually back. Years later, I met with this person, and I had a meal, and we were discussing about all the years of the Contender and how this person had interviewed other fighters and whatnot. And this person told me, out of all the people in the Contender she interviewed a lot to decide on talent. She had 2 people stuck out the most in boxing. She was talking about how boxing doesn't take advantage of marketable fighters. She said 2 people, only 2 stuck out the most to her, where she was like astounded by their ability to be characters for TV and just made for TV. She said people ask her all the time, what is the it factor? She said there is no it factor you can teach. It's just there or it's not. She said 2 people had it more than anybody else. She said Paulie Malignaggi and Alan Green. Those were her 2 people. Now I tell you, bro, what did boxing do with Paulie Malignaggi and Alan Green? Dick. Nothing. And that's why boxing is where it is. You understand me? This is coming from a person who was trained in finding talent and personality for television. I'll leave you with that. And BKFC gets a shout out for giving me finally the platform that I should have been given the whole time.
Hey, that's the way we ended. That's why we want you on here, man. We do. You gonna spit that fire. This is the 100th episode. We're going big. Thank you for coming on, brother, and thank you for your time once again, Mr. Paulie Malignaggi. Catch him June 22nd. I'm watching just to see what you do to Artem. If I didn't even know you personally, I'm like, this man talking, do it. My dad's asking about you.
His face is gonna fall off, bro. His face is gonna fall off. Make sure he lasts. All right.
Can't wait to watch it, man. Thanks for the time, brother. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Please welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast, making Slip and Dip a debut. One of the best journalists in the world today. I'm glad to call him a friend and mentor. You can catch him on FSF1 with my man Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, Mr. Rob Parker. No way, no how.
That's right, all day. How you guys doing? It's a pleasure to be on.
Doing great, man. Doing great. Thanks for coming on, man. We do appreciate it. Get to see you on TV all the time. It's nice to have a face that we get to see on the big time sports networks talking all the latest in the world of sports on this show. So thanks for coming on, man.
No doubt. No problem.
Absolutely. So what's been, I guess, been the biggest thing for you in terms of the combat sports world? Because I know you, like, when you're on TV, most of the time you're talking like the big four, big three, big four. I see the boxing sprinkles in, the MMA sprinkles in. You know, you get your one-off Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather type things. But, like, what kind of catches your eye right now in the world of combat sports?
Well, I mean, I got to be honest. I used to cover boxing. And so, you know, once in a while, even on our radio show that Chris Bouchard and I have, it's mostly we'll have some boxers on. But MMA, I mean, we know how popular it is. And, I mean, it's big. But I'll tell you, some of the athletes there are so tough. I just can't imagine being in there and getting beat up the way I've seen guys take beatings. And the guys who win, man, that is one tough thing. I'll tell you that. I give those guys a lot of credit. You got to be a tremendous athlete and have some sort of constitution to be able to take that.
Yeah, it's so true, man. It's so true. I mean, all combat sports are brutal in their own way, right? But it's kind of crazy. You know, we have Deontay Wilder on this episode, and I'm sure you've seen that recent knockout over Dominic Brazil.
Yeah, that was one of those. If you went to go get a hot dog at the concession stand, you missed the fight.
Yeah,
I mean, wow, that was so quick. That's why you can never, in sports like that, you can't assume anything or think it's going to go the distance. You better be ready to watch that fight from the very first second and then worry about everything else later.
100%, man. And you know, what's it like, I guess, for you in your throughout your career? I mean, you're covering the sport. You know, there's a lot more now these days, but you had a lot of firsts in your career in terms of being a black journalist covering sports. You know, a lot of firsts for you. So how has the game changed, I guess, in your eyes over the years, you know, to where we're at in 2019?
Well, there's a lot more people of color, you know, brothers out there covering. There was at one point before the newspaper industry took a dip, but I've seen progress and seen a lot more faces. When I first started, it was totally different. I mean, I started in 1986, and it's been 33 years now, and I was the first black baseball beat writer in Cincinnati. And you got to remember, the Cincinnati Reds were the first professional team in this country. So that was an honor. Went to Detroit. I became the first black sports columnist at the Detroit Free Press. The Free Press was 161 years old when it hired me. Well, if you could imagine, in Detroit had never had a black sports columnist at the Free Press, which is a great newspaper. And also in New York at Newsday in New York, I was the first black sports columnist there. So there's a lot of things that I was able to accomplish. And then last year, the National Association of Black Journalists gave me an award as the Sports Journalist of the Year. So there's been a lot of nice things that have happened. But as far as the business, I've seen so many guys come along the way and make their own name and make a dent in the business. And that's what I love more than anything, is seeing these other guys trying to get to these other spots and working hard and doing their own thing.
Beautiful. Hey, before you get to that, can we get you to angle the camera up a little? Yeah, right there. Perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
On a personal note, Rob, appreciate what you done for me. Help me give me some advice to get your boy climbing up this ladder that we call the media game. And for what we trying to do as like me and Matt, we comment sports. It's not too many brothers in there, but it's kind of crazy how when people come see our show, they go back and look, they like our presentation. my question to you is, how do we take that to another level so it doesn't matter what we're doing, that people can kind of take us seriously from the jump, that they don't have to go back and look at what we've done to know that, hey, these dudes are serious, they professional, clean cut, dress it, act the part all the time because the way we carry ourselves and all that good stuff.
It's really about presentation and content. I mean, ultimately, that's really what it is. If you do a really good show and it's clean and I can understand it, and you know what I mean, and I know you're not guessing at the facts, and I know, you listen to some podcasts and people are just guessing. They won't even take the time to actually do some research so that when you talk about something, you talk with an authority. I think that's what people are looking for. And I always say you want to be fun, informative, and give people something that they can't get elsewhere. And when you do that, I think that's when people start to take notice of what you're doing, and will invest time and interest in you.
So how do you live down the? I'm neutral when it comes to Tom Brady, but how do you live down to Tom Brady saying that he was washed up about 8 years ago and he's popped out 3 rings since then?
Well, I mean, we could go back and talk about it. I still say at that time, Tom Brady's game was falling apart, but he bounced back. Last year in the Super Bowl, I don't feel like I was off base. I think Tom Brady, if you remember the Super Bowl, they scored 13 points. Tom Brady had no touchdowns. You see the 0? No touchdowns. He had 1 pick and a fumble. He looked like a 40-year-old quarterback. I mean, so everybody can say Tom Brady won, but we know that was a parting gift from the defense, and the Rams shot themselves in the foot. If it wasn't for an 89-yard field goal, I mean, the Rams would have the highest scoring offense, one of the highest scoring offenses, not just last season, but in the history of the NFL, scored 3 points. I mean, just unbelievable. So Tom Brady was the beneficiary of another Super Bowl. The same way Peyton Manning got his last one on the heels of that great Denver defense.
How's it feel to be sparring with Skip and Shannon? Cause I watch them every day. Even when I'm out of town, I make sure I have it on my overdrive and stuff on my laptop. How's it feel to get that recognition that, like, it's kind of thing, like, to me, I know how good of a reporter or journalist, but now you're getting people that you probably even know existed that come up to you, being out there in L.A., coming from good old Detroit, which that's a culture shock and lifestyle, but to get all this exposure on a weekly basis, being on their show.
Yeah, no, it's a great show, and as you know, I've been with Skip since 2006. We started doing cold pizza back on the ESPN days in New York City, so I did that with Skip. Then we moved to Bristol, Connecticut, and I did First Take for about 6-7 years there, and now I'm in LA on Undisputed. And Shannon's great. They make a great team. It's a fun show. It's an informative show, and I think it's must-see TV. A lot of people like it. The dynamics, we bring in a lot of different voices to mix it up. So it's been great. For me to be out here 3 years now, I enjoy everything. Fox allows you to be you, and that's all you could ask for in this business is a chance to do you.
How you keep from laughing with Shannon when he make a point? You know how he got his Shannonisms, and he rocked back in that chair. If he looking at y'all crazy, because it's hard not to laugh and watch it as a viewer. I imagine you be on set, you can't just bust out all the time. He be, I'll wait.
Oh yeah, no. No doubt about it. He's got it down, and the only thing he doesn't have down is beating me on chicken wing bets. You know, I've been beating up on Shannon.
Did Skip know you at dinner too?
Yep, but Shannon lost a bet 300 wings. This was 2 years ago. I told him that LeBron and the Cavs would be swept out of the finals, and he bet me 300 chicken wings, and when they got swept, he paid up, and those wings were oh so good.
What was your dinner with Skip?
Skip, we go to a restaurant called Mr. C's in Beverly Hills. Real nice place. So that's usually what we bet, high end. So I've beaten him a couple times. He's beat me a couple times, but it's all in fun.
So can you pull back the curtain a little bit? So like when y'all go to break and Skip says something outlandish, like how often does he actually like kind of laugh at himself? He's like, I can't believe I just actually said that. Or is that Skip like 100%? Like, I don't know. I can't really tell anymore.
That's Skip 100%. There's no, I'm telling you, there's no like made up stuff. We never talk about, hey, you take this side, he takes that side. None of that. It's 100% authentic. And what happens is sometimes, say Skip and Shannon or me and Skip or whatever could be on the same page on one portion of the topic, but we'll look for a different angle of the same topic to find something that we disagree with. So that's how it's not phony. You know what I mean? So we might agree in principle, but when you break it down to A, B, C, and D, maybe we don't agree on the D part, and that's the question we'll use rather than the most obvious question, which we agree on.
Why you be hating on the Cowboys, though?
Come on, the Cowboys are terrible.
How we win a division and a playoff game and you terrible?
You don't even believe that. I mean, look at that team. I mean, first of all, they got fortunate. The NFC East was awful, and they ran through it. But we saw what happened in the playoffs. They got run over by the Rams in the playoff game, and I just don't know. I'm not a believer yet. I need to see more of Dak Prescott to see exactly what kind of quarterback he's going to be. But right now, I just don't believe in the Cowboys as far as winning a Super Bowl.
What about Zeke?
I mean, we've seen Zeke have some big games, and I believe in him more than I believe in Dak. But I'm just not confident that all together, and by the time they get it together, it's going to be right. Is it going to be right? Jerry's been trying to win another Super Bowl for how long has it been? 25 years?
It's going on. It hit 24. It's been long enough.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been a long time, so we'll see. And then do they have enough money to pay everybody now that they got these guys? I don't know. I'm just not a believer in the Cowboys.
Man. So what is it that you need to see from Dak? Because that's the thing that like everybody always goes to is like Dak. Dak's got this. Dak's got that. Oh, everybody else is great. But it always comes back to Dak. And I mean, that's the nature of football. Everybody's going to point at the quarterback first 9 times out of 10. So, I mean, what do we need to see from him, though?
I think everything has to be right for Dak to win. If Ezekiel doesn't run for 100 yards, they don't win. It's got to be everything. If you ask me, could he beat a team by itself and say the defense isn't that great that day or the running game isn't there? I don't see him winning games. When that other stuff, it's like he's a piece, but you got to have all three pieces: running game, defense, and then Dak can play. I just haven't seen that part yet. I can name you other guys where I know, and I've always talked about this. Every year, the Packers are contenders because of just Aaron Rodgers. Whether he has a running game or not, whether he has the best receivers, whether his defense is any good. And that's what I'm looking for if you're going to call Dak like this franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I love Dak. Obviously, he wears the helmet. He wears a star. I got to rock with him. I'm a Cowboys fan.
No, I hear you. I'm just asking you, do you really believe that if you don't get a running game, can he win for you? Can he win a big game?
No, he's got to have weapons. He's got to have weapons.
We have the best running back in the league, though.
No, yeah. But I'm saying, but it just, to me, it just seems like everything has to work. When he didn't have Ezekiel Elliott, he looked pretty ordinary. Would you agree with that?
No, I agree. I agree.
I remember 2 years ago. Yeah, that was not good.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying
100% healthy. There's so many little things, though. So many little things. You know, we got a new OC too this year coming up. It's gonna be good things. I think. I'm excited.
All right, I don't hold your enthusiasm. I'm waiting for the jury's still out for me.
Yeah. I'm not too high on our OC, but I mean, I got to see how it's gonna look.
Tell me this: who's your favorite combat sports fighter, MMA or boxing? Then who's your top two? Who's your top boxer and your top MMA/UFC fighter?
Well, that's a good question. Because when it comes to boxing, you know, obviously there's the Floyd Mayweather out there, but he really doesn't move me like that because, you know, I'm not into the defensive style of fighting. You know, I used to cover boxing and I get what he's done and I respect that he's undefeated, but it just is not entertaining. So I would have to like, and I was one of those guys who really, really loved boxing. But I've really pushed away from it because you don't get the fights that you really want to see or at the time. like Pacquiao. I'd rather see Pacquiao than I would see uh, Floyd.
He's still pushing along.
Yeah.
He fights
No, I
Thurman
know.
in July. I'm gonna be out there in Vegas for that.
Who would you say? Now, obviously, you got Conor McGregor. Who is the best MMA fighter?
John Jones.
John
100%.
Jones.
100%.
This dude has done everything not to be marketable, from commit felonies to what else? To cheat the sport.
Yes.
He's the most popular fighter still. He did everything not to do it, and he's still in his number one spot.
But usually guys like that, because talent is a big part of it, and people overlook a lot of stuff if you have talent. And I don't care what sport you're in. I think that's the big thing is people still want talent, and they will. If he didn't have the talent, he'd be gone already. But he's talented.
100%. Yeah, he's one of those guys that transcends, I guess, the rules, so to speak. We see that in a lot of in every
he's
sport.
definitely the outlier.
We see that in every sport. There's always going to be one guy that gets away with a lot more than the whole rest of the
Like
group.
Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, I'm sorry.
100%. 100%.
Is that too soon?
No, I agree.
No, don't be Shannon trying to get him
agree.
suspended, though. Shannon trying to get him suspended again.
Nah, you know what? The NFL said 0 tolerance, so I think he's going to wind up getting a 1-game suspension. I believe that.
What do you think about the NFL? Like, how can you do something when the law's not even involved? I don't understand. Like, for instance, if you get accused of something and you don't go to jail and you don't get no charges, FS1 can't say, well, they can, but without paying you, they can't just get rid of you. They're gonna have to cut you a pardon check.
Yeah, but you got to remember, this isn't when you sign a CBA, the draft is illegal, salary cap is illegal, but you signed on to play under those rules. The players signed on to give Roger Goodell that kind of power. That it's not the real world. That's why.
Yeah.
It's a club to be in. It's the same way that they could force an owner to sell his team, right?
Yeah.
Because
you think they can force Jerry to sell, of all people?
Could they?
Yeah.
I mean, they could. They could force Bob Kraft to sell. I mean, if something were to come out even bigger or whatever, or they determined that what happened there was a black eye. Remember,
You don't like time massages?
Well, I mean, but all I'm going to say is it's the first time in history that the Patriots didn't want to see the videotapes.
Man, that's facts. That's big facts.
Am I right?
Yes. Jeez, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, all that's going to get swept under the rug. You know,
Don't forget, think about this. Donald Sterling did not break a law. He was saying some crazy stuff in his own house, was recorded illegally, and once it was leaked, he was forced to sell his team because you're a part of a club. It isn't real life. That's what I'm trying to tell. Players have signed on to this.
I agree with you, but how much of a loser was he? He bought the team for like $200 million, and they gave him $1 billion to go away. How much of a loser was he?
Nah, but I get it. You cashed out, but you still had it taken from you.
Yeah, that was the bust.
Yeah. And I mean, $2 million. I mean, $2 billion. I get it. That's a great haul for what he did, but I'm just saying you don't have any when you join those kind of special groups. You know, the outside law doesn't matter. This is what you signed up for.
100%.
So we're hitting up to all the big sports. What do you think the Lakers got to do to turn this craziness around? Because I keep telling everybody, as you know, I cover the NBA. My sources are telling me it has nothing to do with basketball. Jeannie Buss basically, like LeBron and Rich Paul, get the F back. You're not winning my show. She don't even care about winning games. That's why she's doing stuff more from a business financial standpoint versus a on the court standpoint. And everybody's looking on the court because it's definitely all over the court messing that up. But I think she's more trying to protect her brand and her money versus worried about winning games. So how accurate do you think that is?
Well, I think she's doing a terrible job at both. I think her real name should be Jeannie Bust with a T at the end because she's been a horrible owner in the last 6 years. To think about where they are. Them with the Knicks are the worst franchise in the NBA. And I don't see this turning around for the Lakers. I don't see them getting a top-tier free agent. The young pieces that they have, other than Kyle Kuzma, aren't that tradable now. Lonzo Ball hasn't been able to stay healthy for 2 years. Brandon Ingram has the blood clots, which cost Chris Bosh his career. So I don't know how tradable he is. Josh Hart has a bad knee. So those pieces that maybe look better, last year don't look as good other than Kyle Kuzma. So I don't see AD coming. I don't believe the Pelicans want to make a deal with them. I think the Lakers didn't luck out by getting the fourth pick. This is a three-man draft. So nobody can even tell you who's going to be the fourth or fifth pick. So that's why that pick isn't as valuable as if they got the third or second pick.
So true. That's so true, man. As a big Lakers fan, man, it's all a mess. It's all a huge mess. I mean, I know a lot of people were expecting things to, I guess the tides kind of to turn with LeBron coming over. But then again, at the same time, nobody was expecting this year to be a big year for the Lakers. Everything was about next year. And then we have all this thing with Magic happen and everything. And now it's just like, I think we're worse off than before.
Oh, I agree. I think everything changed. And it was supposed to be a look-see year. And then somehow in the middle of the year, LeBron got into the AD thing. And that blew up in his face. I mean, basically, when he went public wanting AD and trade, and then the word came out they're going to trade every player. They would be willing to give everybody up for AD, and the players reacted to it. So that's, to me, firebomb this season. And even with the injury, people like to use that as an excuse. When he came back, they had plenty winnable games to get in the playoffs, and they lost to the Suns, and they lost to the Atlanta Hawks, and they lost to Memphis, and they lost to the Cavaliers and the Knicks. They lost to a lot of bad teams, and that's why they didn't make the playoffs. They weren't that good with LeBron, and they weren't that good without LeBron.
Yeah, that's facts, man. It's big facts. But I guess since we're on the topic of basketball right now, we got the Raptors making the finals. I did not see this happening. After the first two games of that last series, I thought they were going to get swept. And then they turned around and ended up sweeping the Bucks from that point on. So
I wasn't surprised.
I couldn't call the East. I couldn't call the East for nothing this year. But, I still think they're going to get it handed to them against the Warriors. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, I disagree. I picked Toronto from the start of the season. I had Toronto and Golden State. I think Toronto's actually going to beat Golden State.
I disagree today.
I think people are totally miscalculating. When you go back and see what they did to stop Giannis, who went through the playoffs and was a monster until he faced Toronto, and then they have Kawhi Leonard, who's already been a Finals MVP, who already has been there, done that, been on the big stage. They have a good bench and a good team. I think people are way underestimating them. They also have home court. And Golden State, I do not believe, will have KD. I don't think he's going to play. And the last time we saw Steph lead a team in the NBA Finals, they choked down a 3-1 lead. I think people are being very, very flip with Toronto and not thinking that Portland wasn't ready for the big stage, and that's why they got swept. And they think it's going to be easy for Golden State to sweep the Raptors. I think people are way underestimating how good Toronto is.
Yeah, I love the heart. I love the passion. I love all that stuff. I love the whole Drake angle that we get from Toronto right now. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, Danny Green has to show up. Fred VanVleet, is he going to be emulating Steph Curry again? These are things that I don't see happening in the finals. But did you?
They won 4 straight games after being down 2-0.
I was shocked.
I think Golden State wins, but I think it goes 6, Rob. I think Kawhi's going to have a game he wins by himself. Kawhi is that guy. I don't know why do Skip stay hating on him? What he says. What he says with the San Antonio thing.
San Antonio, and that's Skip's favorite team. So
yeah, but
he's just mad.
You can't act like he can't play this because he pieced out on your team. He makes it like he can't play this because he pieced out on the Spurs. If I didn't know anything about basketball, I think Kawhi would even a starter in the NBA.
No, he's definitely bitter about the whole thing.
Number two.
I just think I've been watching them all year, man. Toronto. People forget they won 60 games a year ago, and then you added Kawhi Leonard. They don't have a bad team. But
I think Kyle Lowry's going to get exposed. He come up small on the big stage. He did okay this last series, but he going to get Steph Curry.
He did okay.
He did great. He did great. He did great.
He gonna go get Chef Curry though.
Milwaukee, who had the best record in the NBA all year.
I'm talking about him.
What are you talking
Himself.
about?
Kyle Lowry, don't see the dude get Chef Curry. He's gonna be key. He's gonna be key. Can you put up that 25 points you put up this last series against Chef Curry now?
We'll wait and see, and we'll see what else happens. But I think you guys, I got the Toronto Raptors winning the NBA championship, and it'll be what I would consider a return to the real NBA, where we can finally let go of people trying to stockpile teams and super teams. And look at what Toronto did. They didn't do that. All they did was made a trade for a player to add to their team already. And that's what the NBA should be about, not about super teams. So for the betterment of the NBA, I hope that they win and people will realize that it is doable.
How many games then? How many games you calling?
6 games.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Remember, they have home court. First 2 games are in Toronto.
Do you agree though? If they blow home court in the first two games, this series is a wrap. They're not gonna beat Golden State.
And if they win the first 2 games,
they can win. They can win the series. If they do Milwaukee,
they can just win. They can't sweep.
No, they ain't gonna sweep you at the Oracle. Come on now. You know how loud that place is, Rob. I keep telling my co-host.
Do you remember when they choked to the Cavaliers and they were up 3-1?
I thought you got me. And I'm a Kobe guy. You got me being like Shannon now. They had that man on their team. Can I interest you in 31, 10, and 9?
Oh, okay. Is that what it was? Or was it just a choke job by Steph and company?
Hey,
but another thing too, they keep talking about Kawhi being the Finals MVP. LeBron averaged 27, 11, and 8 in that series, and I'm not even a LeBron fan. I'm neutral on him being a Laker guy, but I never seen nobody get an MVP for keeping somebody at their average. Like you would think, like if you didn't watch that series, I happened to cover that series because it was in San Antonio, so I went to 2 of the 3 games in San Antonio, and they got Kawhi just locked up LeBron. Matter of fact, LeBron was the best player on the court. It's kind of like we're gonna let LeBron get ours, and they shut down Bosh and Wade, and they shot out lights out.
Yeah, but you just don't want LeBron to go crazy. I mean, that's
I know, but that'll give you the Finals MVP though, Rob. I see what you're saying, but does that give you the Finals MVP?
Yes, because look, if you remember the last time they were in the finals, LeBron in Game 1 in Golden State scored 51 before overtime. You remember that?
Yeah, you went JR, boy.
Okay, this is what I'm trying. Don't say JR. LeBron did that at the end.
You said like skip now.
No, there was 5 minutes to go, and LeBron went to the bench and pouted. That's what he did.
It's true.
He gave that game up.
Hey, that's facts. That's facts. Yeah, LeBron is. I'm a LeBron guy, but there are a lot of times where I'm like, like, come on, man. Like you gotta question some of the stuff he does, though. Sometimes you
got to admit he was having an unbelievable game. He scored 51 points, and JR, did he make a bonehead play? Absolutely. But if you would have said to LeBron before that game that you could go into overtime on the road in Game 1 at Oracle, right? And have 5 minutes to steal Game 1, you would take that. But instead, he just totally panicked and just totally decided the game was lost already when he was having his best night ever. I didn't get it.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like LeBron is. He's obviously great. I'm not going to question that whatsoever. But he does some things where it's like, really, you gotta hit me with the consistency at this point in the career. I mean, I know you've written the book already. The LeBron book has been written. I think he could do nothing else the rest of his career and be just fine.
He top 5.
The legacy of his career and the legacy of basketball. But
it's Kobe. Was Kobe your top 10, Rob? Obviously, if you really know basketball.
Probably 11.
Come on.
What?
What we gonna do about back-to-back without Shaq? What we gonna do about 15 for all NBA teams?
What are you talking about? What about? Do you remember when Kobe quit on his team against the Phoenix Suns?
That's the only Game 7 I did not watch.
No, okay, you didn't watch that.
I legitimately did. I was in Dallas watching the Yankees were whooping, and they came to
go read up on it.
I know what happened. When Tim Thomas hit that 3, that Game 6, I knew that series was over with. I watched every second of the first 6 games.
It was his worst moment as a competitor. It was shocking. But Kobe's a great player. He played with Shaq. That's why take some of the sparkle off of it a little bit.
Even going back to back without him, though, nobody says. What trips me out about Kobe is the take the fact that I'm cool with him personally, and he's my favorite athlete of all time. Why they act like he won 5 titles? They act like that's magic. Then they want to talk about the one with Shaq. He won 2 without Shaq. They don't talk about that. And then they act like you would think Kobe retired in 2005 instead of 2015. The way people be acting.
Yeah, I think people give him his due. He's a great player, but there's some other players who are great as well. And it's not just strictly titles. I think if Kobe didn't, Shaq was the most dominant player in the league those 3 years when they won the 3 in a row. It doesn't mean that Kobe wasn't great, but Shaq was the most dominant. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Well, Rob, before we get you out of here, man, I got one more combat sports question for you. And it's a thing that I've seen pop up, obviously, since the Deontay Wilder fight. So what do you make of these comparisons that I'm seeing to start throwing around now between Mike Tyson and Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, but with the quick knockouts, I don't know if it'll ever be like Mike Tyson. I covered Mike Tyson back in those days and used to be a boxing writer and go to Vegas and whatnot. And the thing that was crazy about Mike Tyson was guys were scared in the ring against Mike Tyson. I could just remember seeing guys, just like almost ready to get knocked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Wilder's a knockout artist too, but I don't know if he's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, during his heyday, was as good as it gets.
He has the intimidation factor I give you, but Deontay has that hurt factor. Like, dudes don't know where they, like, everybody talk about the Tyson Fury fight. He didn't want to fight him no more. He got hit so hard. Dominic Brazil didn't want to talk after the fight. He got hit so hard.
Right.
Well, he also felt disrespected by Jim Gray, too. So that was a whole other angle.
But Tyson had the intimidation angle. Like, I think people really think they can beat Deontay. And they come in and they're not scared. See, like Tyson, they got the famous video when his eyes are moving. It's like the dudes are shook before they even say, "Let's get it on."
That's what I saw with.
Yeah, Deontay don't got that factor. He got the one hitter quarter factor, but he don't got that intimidation.
They were literally scared.
So he's not getting that. He's not getting that a little bit now, especially after that last one. You don't think he'll have that the next time out?
Well, we'll see. But I'm just saying I don't think he's at Tyson's level yet. That's all.
Yeah, I mean that's a one of a kind level for sure. But.
So why see you at a fight? Like if he ever fights Anthony Joshua, will you pop at a mega fight like that?
I might. You never know.
I appreciate you coming on, man. Kicking off an episode 100, it means a lot to us, man. We wanted to go big, and you were definitely on the short list between you and Jamel Hill. So we're gonna get her on in a couple weeks. But thank you for kicking off our entertainment part of the show as we go to show episode 100.
All right, guys. Congratulations. Much success. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Keeping the train rolling. Finish the show with a bang. Please welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast. Friend of the show, one of the best MMA writers and journalists in the game. He's even a great guy. He's my favorite Canadian. Senior writer of The Score, Mr. James Lynch. Thanks for joining us, James.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is a big episode, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. No one else we would rather have. I'm kidding. There's a lot of people we'd rather have. But not rather have, but...
I like the honesty. That's good.
No. You're one of our favorite people for sure. We love spending time with you at Fight Week events. I'm kind of bummed I haven't had the opportunity to do so recently, but yeah, man. I'm glad. Congrats on the promotion, I guess, over to The Score. So how's things been over there with you for, I guess, a couple of weeks now?
Yeah, we're coming on to week 3. Thanks for asking. It's been going awesome. It's been going very well, I should say. It's cool for me because getting to work with another big sports outlet again. I had in the past, but to get to work with them again and just see how that machine is run is pretty awesome. And now to bring sort of my knowledge with MMA, like to give you guys an idea, because we're so in this combat sports bubble when it comes to some of the outlets and the sites and stuff. It's like for them, like I'm the guy who knows everything about MMA that's working for them. So it's like I'm working with all these other people at the network, and they are, they specialize in like NFL, NBA, whatever. And so I'm sort of the MMA expert, but they're the ones who sort of, when I'm off hours, like right now, for example, they're going to cover some of the major stuff for me, which is good. So it's kind of like I'm bringing something to the table with my MMA knowledge, but they've, obviously had years of experience working there and knowing sort of how everything runs. So it's been kind of this cool thing of me getting to learn all this new stuff, working for such a big outlet.
See, that's why we're going to have that Canadian-American connection. Y'all just don't know that yet. James what I'm talking about. So in the world of MMA, because like me and Matt, we've been off the air for 2 weeks. Cause I was at the Wilder fight, and he watched the last card when Kevin Lee got tapped out. So what are some things that's on James, that's burning with James Lynch right now? Those 3 things that we need to be looking out for with summer coming up. We got John Jones, International Fight Week. I mean, the first one I missed in 5 years because my schedule's so busy covering sports in Texas and boxing. So this will be the first one I missed. But in fact, I'll be coming the next week for the Pacquiao-Thurman fight after going to the ESPYs. So I know it's actually
you're a globetrotter, man. Seriously, every day I go on Facebook, you're at some boxing event or something else. Like, it's great. I love the hustle, man. That's one of the things we all have in common is the hustle. So I can definitely respect that. But to answer your question, this is the fun time of the year. We're coming up to International Fight Week. We've got UFC actually 238 coming up here soon in Chicago. They got the 2 title fights there. That should be interesting. Vacant bantamweight title on the line with Marlon Moraes and Henry Cejudo. You've got International Fight Week, which that card, even though they lost Junior Dos Santos and Francis, they moved that fight to the Minneapolis main event. That card's still stacked. You've got John Jones, Thiago Santos. You've got Holm and Nunes. That's going to be a great fight too. And then even go further, you've got Stipe and Cormier, the rematch in Anaheim, which should be awesome as well. Like, there's a lot of interesting things coming together. And we saw in the week, this past week, that Habib Nurmagomedov's teammates got their sentences reduced. From the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Shocker.
Yes, I know. It's crazy to think that they would amend those things. But the good news is that he'll probably be fighting in the fall. So, I mean, this is, it's been a pretty good year for MMA, with ESPN and everything. But now this is where the stuff really starts to pick up with, some of the, marquee title fights and things like that. So I'm really excited, and I'm going to be covering a couple of those events. So I'll be pretty excited to be on the ground there.
2 things that's burned out to me, though, that should burn out is, one, nobody's even talking about this, except for the Slip and Dip podcast, because we try to step ahead of the game. Of course. When Amanda Nunes, if she beats Holly Holm, she's the undisputed GOAT in female MMA. It's not even close. Like, say somebody comes around 10 years later that may have like a John Jones type skill set and beating everybody, she's got the names on the resume that's going to be very hard to remotely get in that ballpark, because if you just look at it, with women's MMA being so young, she basically got 3 Hall of Famers on that resume right now, in Ronda, Cyborg, and Misha. And the crazy thing, the fact that Ronda and Misha didn't fight again, actually whooped their ass, makes it even more impressive. In fact, she done something to Cyborg that had never been done, makes it even more impressive. And even if she beats Holly by decision, she has the resume. And we don't even talk about the 2 wins over Valentina. It's like, what else does she have to do?
No,
nobody's talking about that either. That's a big storyline.
It's huge, exactly. And there's just so much going on that sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. But I agree with you. I actually think that Amanda Nunes could already be there. I mean, what she did to Cyborg was just insane, just with the fact that Cyborg had been so dominant. And I know eventually all the greats lose. I mean, Demetrius Johnson, John Jones, Jones DQ, whatever. Jones basically hasn't lost. But you understand what I'm saying? The fact that she was able to do that to Cyborg and finish her in the first round, I think already sort of puts her there. But I agree with you. Holm's sort of the next big name. Like, outside of Holm, and potentially a trilogy fight with Valentina, maybe if Valentina wants to go back up, there really isn't much left for her. And I think, this is huge for women's MMA, this fight. And some people didn't like the title shot. They talk about Holm, losing her fights, but I think you got to go where the name value is. And Holm is the big money fight right now for Amanda Nunes. And I'd love that fight. And I think that's sort of the last big hurdle for Amanda Nunes, so to speak, just because of the name value. I mean, she could fight other contenders, but no one as big as Holly Holm at this point.
Cyborg, it's not that she beat Cyborg. It's how she beat Cyborg. Like, has she won in a point the way she did Valentina? Look at the lack of credit she got for beating her the way she did. But the fact that she beat Cyborg at her own game is the ultimate exclamation point.
It certainly is. And I think it just goes to show, too, that just she's evolved so much. Like, if you look at, her coming into the UFC, she had a couple losses. I mean, she lost to Kat Zingano early in her career and just turning things around, and she hasn't lost. And I think it's just such a good storyline. And I know there's been a lot of criticism about how the UFC's, hasn't been promoting her as much. But I think, it's just one of those things, unfortunately, that I think it's just flown under the radar. And like you said, I'm glad you brought it up, because I think that's probably one of the big storylines that's going to happen this summer, is if, Nunes gets another win here. And then who knows what's next for her? I mean, we've heard rumblings that it might be time for her to hang them up. So this could potentially be one of her last fights.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It really could. And I want to ask you about one of those names that we kind of mentioned just there. Obviously, Valentina Shevchenko and her title defense coming up. I saw an interview you did with her recently. To be honest, like, she's one of my favorite interviews just to like listen to or actually interview. Like, I don't know, it's something about her. Like, I can listen to every interview she ever does. But
yeah,
fighting Jessica Ai, I mean, I don't see too many people giving Jessica Ai all the chances in the world to win this fight. But how do you see that?
Put me in that category.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I think that Valentina probably wins that fight. And I think part of it is just the fact that she's had more dominant wins than I has. I mean, you know, I was at her last fight when she fought Caitlin Chukagian in Toronto, and that was a razor close fight. I mean, I ended up getting the win. I wouldn't dispute her winning that fight. She certainly did. But I think a lot of her fights have been like that. They've been close decisions. Whereas Valentina, I mean, she dominated Joanna in her last fight. She's, you know, dominated other opponents that she's fought. She's finished, you know, fighters like Juliana Pena who just don't get finished. So there's that X factor when you see her fight. And I think that's why there's so much momentum with her going into this fight. And getting back to her interview, the thing I like about her that's so cool is that she's all business. I mean, there is no, like, you know, I try and ask those questions like, you know, downtime, all that stuff, but it's just like, no, I'm business. You know, we're here to do a job, to get it done. Like, I even asked her, like, you know, are you looking ahead at whatever? No, just task at hand. This is what I want to deal with, and this and that. And I respect that about her because, you know, some fighters do lose focus of the, you know, the eye of the prize. And, you know, she's taking Jessica very seriously. And what's so funny, too, is that Jessica now trains in Vegas and Valentina was training in Vegas. So they've seen each other, you know, while they've been training at the Performance Institute. So I think that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I would expect Valentina to win the fight. You can't ever count out Jessica Ai, but I mean, clearly, if, you know, betting man, I'd have to put my money on Valentina in that fight.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I love Jessica Ai's game. Like, I think she's one of the best. Like, she's got one of the best hand games amongst like the female fighters. A lot of people like always shit on me when I say that, but it's true.
Because she has too many holes in her game. She does. Open.
She does. She has a lot of defensive holes, but like offensively with her striking, like her boxing is really, really top notch when it comes to, you know, WMMA, and not a lot of people really give her that credit for that. So that's just one thing.
She is.
She's good. But I mean, I think Valentina's going to walk away with that title as well. But go ahead.
I was going to have my hand up just to. I was trying to cut you off. That's all I was saying.
Go for it.
Okay. The other storyline people are slipping on in any combat sport, boxing, MMA, the person that gets their ass beat when there's been two fights and there's going to be a trilogy never is the shot caller. I think Daniel Cormier would be in his reason to be the shot caller, beat Stipe, tie that record defense, and make John Jones come up. There's a reason John Jones doesn't want to come up. To his credit, he's smart. He know he could be beating somebody for 24 minutes and one punch, it's undone. His record, his aura's gone. That's too big of a gamble. But if I'm DC, with all the craziness John Jones done, I'm like, oh, we're fighting again. And we're going to do it at heavyweight or we don't fight again. Because DC, with John Jones' craziness and DC being a champ, he doesn't need him no more. Because I was one of the first people when he got kicked off and my man had came back with all his stuff in Anaheim. First thing I said, DC going to have to beat that fight for him to be remotely in GOAT conversation. I completely changed my opinion because of the last year and a half. Because it was that easy to be a champ and defend the belt. Everybody would be doing it. So he's in the rare case of being the person that got his ass kicked twice. Or beat, I can't say kick, but be the loser and can call the shots, and it's not crazy.
Yeah, no, it is such a rare situation. And I think the other thing that's interesting is, you know, Brock Lesnar's not fighting DC. I mean, that's the thing. DC, you know, held out for this money fight, and now it's not happening. Now he's got to fight Stipe, which is the fight I don't think he did want because, let's be honest, Stipe is not a big money seller as far as some of the other names out there. I mean, the Jones fight, I don't know if it'll happen. I mean, I think part of DC, like you were saying, like, you know, the fact that he can ask him to come up to heavyweight and fight him there, I think that makes sense. I mean, that is the last big fight for DC right now because there aren't any other big fights. No offense to any other heavyweights, but that the money fight is the John Jones trilogy just because, you know, a couple things, obviously, with what Jones went through with the, you know, PEDs and everything else, but also the fact that DC, if you watch that fight, he actually was doing pretty well in that rematch, and then he got kicked and he got knocked out. And, of course, the meme that was heard across or seen across the world, you know, of him at post-fight. But that's the last big fight. I think now that Cormier has kind of softened on his stance of, I was going to not fight past, you know, 40, I think it was. I think we will potentially see that fight with Jones, but But yeah, he's got to get past Stipe. I mean, I wouldn't count out Stipe in this fight either. I think even though he's had the layoff, I think there's you don't just beat Fabricio Werdum and Ngannou and all these other guys for nothing. So that should be an interesting fight. But yeah, I think we will probably see a trilogy fight between the two.
I agree with you. It's an interesting fight, but the reason I think it's an easy work for DC is because when he came on this show, I don't know what episode, that's good with the episode numbers, and I said, well, you just being funny, or did he really not hurt you? When he was like, he said, I knew I could knock him out. We saw what happened a month and a half later. Full disclosure, your boy went 875 because he was 220 underdog, so I had some money at stake. But he knows this time he can't hurt him, so what can he do differently? The first time he was very like, oh shit, he can catch me. He knows I took his best shot. He can't hurt me coming in this one. Stipe knows he can't hurt him. So it might go longer, which I expected to do, but I don't see what Stipe can do any different because he ain't going to out-grapple him. So how can he win this fight?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think we would have to see how both fighters are in the later rounds. How would it go? I mean, Stipe has that championship experience. DC's gone the distance as well. Not going to ignore that either. But we'll see. I mean, maybe Stipe's gotten a lot better over this year. I don't know. Like it's really, that's what's so intriguing about this. Like people, how many people were counting him out against Francis when they fought? Everyone was saying Francis is going to knock this guy out. I'm not saying you guys, but I saw a lot of people saying Francis is going to sleep Stipe in the first. And he got tagged by him and he survived. And so I think that's one of those things where, I think if it goes on later, can Stipe, pull off some magic like he did against Overeem and some of the other fighters? We'll see. I mean, DC's known for his cardio, but DC's getting older. Stipe's getting older. I mean, we don't know. It'll be interesting for the rematch, but I just think there's a lot at stake for both fighters, and that's why that fight's so interesting. I can't wait for that rematch.
Oh, absolutely, man. I can't wait for that one either. One of the crazy things is, I guess tearing up the MMA/boxing scene right now is this whole Artem Lobov and Paulie Malignaggi thing, which is so crazy that this is actually like the main topic of discussion in a lot of circles right now. And I even saw MMA Fighting came out with a discussion like, is this the biggest fight in June? I mean, you got 2 title fights in the UFC, and this is actually a question for a promotion that's still trying to get their feet off the ground in a lot of ways with Bare Knuckle FC. And I think that says a lot about the promotion side of things that people don't really take into account, because for Paulie to have one press conference and Paulie do the things that he did at that press conference, it really should shed the light on a lot of fighters that A, don't like to do interviews, or B, don't give a damn while they're doing interviews. Like, look at what self-promotion will do for you. So I guess my first question is it the biggest fight in June? Do you agree or disagree? And I guess what do you think about the way that this promotion has really caught the imagination of a lot of people?
I would answer that with, this is an entertainment sport. It is at the end of the day. And I think that's what it comes down to, the name value. I mean, Artem, we know from the UFC, the whole, GOAT talk and all this stuff, and him being Connor's buddy, and, him never, getting finished and all these things, right? Like there's that. And then you've got Paulie Malignaggi, who in the boxing world, very well known, commentator, former fighter, all these things, former boxer, I should say. I mean, so of course, these are the 2 biggest names as far as I'm amazed if you go watch like an Artem Lobov interview on YouTube, like thousands of views. Like this guy has a following, and I think if we're talking about the biggest fight from a name value standpoint, absolutely, and that's why. And it was kind of good timing by Bare Knuckle to do the presser when they did it, because this is kind of a dead point. I mean, we've you guys are celebrating Memorial Day weekend, and then we've got this Sweden card coming up here next weekend, which isn't that strong of a card. So I think that it was just a good timing on Bare Knuckle's part. And as far as them as a promotion, I think they took advantage of 2 really well-known names. I mean, if this was Joe Riggs and Johnny Hendricks fighting, I don't think people would be caring as much as they are with Paulie and Artem. And you have that whole storyline as well with the fact that Paulie trained with Conor McGregor, and there's that tie-in as well. So if you're a Conor McGregor fan, of Paulie Malignaggi, that only amplified his profile in the MMA sphere. So I think that's it's easily the biggest fight in terms of name value, and it's clearly the topic of discussion. And it's just because there's nothing else to talk about. No offense to Anthony Smith or Alex Gustafsson, but people aren't talking about them as much because this is such a bigger thing because of all the storylines that are attached with it.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's just amazing to me that you got title fights in the UFC and people are still enamored with this, and it just says to me people you got to pay attention. Promotion is what this game is all about more than anything. We saw today, Elias Theodorou got released from the UFC because he's not the most exciting fighter inside the cage, right? But I mean, he's still got a good following on Twitter, but you kind of got to have both pieces of the pie a little bit, right? You know, if John Fitch was Paulie Malignaggi on the mic, maybe John Fitch would still be in the UFC. I don't know.
Right. No, entertainment's so important, and a lot of people don't want to admit that, it has to be, it's a factor in fight promotion. Look, people, I don't know how many people have been outraged, but there's people who are upset that Chael Sonnen and Lyoto Machida are headlining the next Bellator card when you've got Rory McDonald defending his title against Neiman Gracie. I mean, as far as importance, the Rory fight's way more important. But as far as name value goes, of course Chael's going to headline. People are like disappointed by that. Like, what planet are you living on? The Elias thing too. I wanted to touch on that as well because I see a lot of people being like, I can't believe this. He's 8-3. I can believe it. Yeah. His fights. No, and I'm not being disrespectful towards him. But if we're looking at this from an honest perspective, this is what people are overlooking when it comes to Elias. He's got a great Twitter following. So did Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman wasn't winning fights. That's why they let him go. Yeah. Elias has a great, personality, following, all that stuff. That's great. But it's not the same as what like a Connor does or other people. Like when Elias does an interview, it's not being aggregated over every single website everywhere. Every single time. In fact, I've actually tried to do interviews with him and stuff. And his management is dead set on this. Talk about him being pro marijuana and all that. And I think that's putting people off to a certain degree. I mean, I'm totally for marijuana. I don't care about that. But I'm just saying in general, I'm Canadian. Come on. No, but you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's he's not saying anything that's captivating the audience. And then his fighting style is just not appealing. And I think they're looking at this as like a long-term investment. Elias is in his 30s. Is he going to get any better than what we've seen? Do you see him as a future champion? If the answer is no, which it should be, because I don't think there's anything that suggested that's going to be the case, then why are you keeping him around? So I'm not as shocked as some people are. I realize it's only one loss and they're letting him go, but I think they're just looking at this long-term being like, we can grab some guy from Contender Series who, gets a lot of knockouts and have him on the roster way cheaper than Elias. I think that's how they're looking at this.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. Like I tweeted out earlier, like a whole list of people complaining about Elias's fight while it was going on. And I mean, let's be real. Like, even as journalists, like when we're covering fights, like we're paying attention to what fight is coming up next, because do I need to watch this closely, or can I go get more work done? Can I start pre-writing the next article? Can I edit the next video depending on the fight that's about to come on? And more often than not, when an Elias Theodorou fight comes on, I'm either going to look to do something else that night for those few moments, or I'm watching just to kind of like see how bad it actually ends up being. Because those are the really only two options, unfortunately. Again, I love the dude. Think he's hilarious. But, yeah.
Last finish, I want to say, was 2013 against a guy from your state, Roger Narvaez. It was the last time Elias finished a fight. I think he finished his when he won the Ultimate Fighter. He finished that fight, and then he finished Narvaez. But that's it. I mean, you can't have 10 fights, or I don't even know how many he's had. I guess 11, and not finish opponents. You have to do that at some point, unless it's something like it's Habib, where it's just like ragdolling the guy. We haven't really seen that with Elias, right? There hasn't been a fight like that. And go look too at his resume. Like as far as some of the guys he's beat, a lot of those guys aren't in the UFC, or they're different weight classes or whatever. Like, people can't figure out why Elias isn't in the UFC, but Ed Herman is. Ed Herman just won his last fight by knockout. That's why.
Yeah, no doubt. And that fight actually took place here in Dallas, I think, the one you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Actually,
so I'm just saying. I'm not hating on Elias. He's Canadian, right? Like I interviewed him long before he was in the UFC, but I just think I see this from a promoter's point of view, where it's like, he's not exactly exciting. He's in his 30s. Like, what are we getting out of this? So it wasn't that surprising to me.
James, I know you give pointers to fans and people that try to get and do what we do. Can you let these managers know we're here to help your fighter out, not hurt your fighter? Like, the craziness I be dealing with is crazy.
Oh, don't even get me started, man.
I'm trying to think, what's a PC way to tell these people that, not necessarily y'all don't, you need us, but like there's a difference if your fighter is DC or Deontay Wilder, who both been on this podcast, and I challenge to find another non-national Yahoo ESPN podcast they've been on, but both of them. But we're trying to be a positivity around your fighter. So how is your fighter coming on 10, 15 minutes is going to hurt them? I don't get that.
Yeah, it's a couple of things. I actually did a video on this. I kind of gave like 5 tips to fighters, like things you should do, like get a Twitter account, like things like that are just, and it's not like, trying to hate on anyone. I'm just saying, like, it's going to benefit you if you follow like these things. Like, just, this is from someone who's done, a ton of interviews. I was going to say 1,000. It's probably not 1,000, but it's a lot. So
I'd be surprised.
I was going to say it's been a lot, but But no, it's just like, and they're easy things to do. And if you're a manager, like if you have a manager and he's not, and they don't either have a PR guy or they're not getting people to do interviews, like get you set up with interviews, then you're losing. Because guess what? Unless you're Conor McGregor, the UFC doesn't give a crap about you, even if you're, one of the best fighters. You have to have that self-promotion, and the UFC picks and chooses who they want to push, and you can't rely on them picking you. You have to take some initiative, and not just that, not just managers not getting back. Because trust me, I'll show you my inbox, how many sent messages there are and no replies back or whatever.
What do you think about that? What do you think about these fools that act like the manager work for the manager? Fool, the manager works for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I
know. I think if you're a fighter, you should get as much publicity as you can. And look, if you don't like doing interviews, that's fine. Keep it short. I don't even mind if someone says, hey, can you give me an idea of what we're going to talk about? I don't mind that. I know that's kind of blurring some lines with journalism, as long as you're not like saying like, this and that. But I think you can be professional and you can still make them as comfortable as possible. Like, that's why I do those video game interviews, to be honest. But a lot of times, aside from the fact I love playing video games, but it also gets them in a state when they're just relaxed and they're not, think of it as like CNN. Like, I'm not Larry King. Like, I'm a guy who's just, talking fights. Like, it's pretty simple. So I think that's part of it too. But I see a lot of managers too, and I'm not going to put anyone on blast here, but like, managers just don't do any sort of like cooking. Like, I had a manager hit me up during fight week being like, hey, can you interview this guy? I'm like, I already interviewed him. Like, how do you not know that? Like, get with the program. Like, you should know who your fighter's interviewing. You should know their schedule. And yes, I know fighters are busy, but like 10 minutes. It's not hard. Block off an hour. An hour you'd be playing Fortnite is an hour you could be doing interviews and helping your career. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, no kidding. Man, I mean, hell, the amount of interviews that we've done where guys are literally walking through wherever. We had Jojo Diaz grocery shopping, like just accept.
Everyone's got a phone too. It's not like there's any like
the Skype app.
Download the Skype app.
It's all easy. It's so easy.
But I agree with you, and I think that I think once people fighters start seeing their paychecks and they're starting to see that it's a lot harder to get sponsors and things like that, that's when we'll see more of a change there. And look, like, I get it if you don't want to go on someone's show that's like just starting out and like you don't know what they're going to be like and they don't have like a large body of work. But like you guys said, like you guys have had Cormier and Deontay Wilder and like all these other like huge stars, like that shit. Like, if they're coming on, and that's like, it's the same thing with me sometimes. Like, I can get Stipe on my show, like heavyweight champion, no problem. Yeah. But then I can't get an undercard guy, or like I have like, it's crazy. Like you're really going to make me go through hoops. Like, I had an amateur fighter one time being like, you got to go through my manager. It's like, what? Like, are you crazy?
Does he work for you or do you work for the dude?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's something that hopefully we'll, see a little bit better. And then on the flip side, I think there is some really good access. Like, sometimes I'm surprised when, if I'm trying to get a hold of a fighter, I go through their Instagram or whatever and just shoot them a message, how quickly they'll get back to me. Some are really great. Like, I'm not saying it's all fighters. Clearly there's some that just aren't with the program, but some are really great and good about getting back on time. And I've had some where, they'll just they'll be like, hey, just double checking we're still on. Like, that's good. Like, get Google Calendar app on your phone. Then you'll know when the interview is. Like, that's another thing I'm sure you guys have experienced where it's like, hey, got the interview tomorrow, such and such time. Are you good? Yep. Then the next day, interview, like, hey, we're doing the interview in a couple hours. We good? Yep.
Yes. Oh
Call.
My God.
Dead silence. Where were you? Oh, I had a doctor's appointment. You don't think you would mention that when
Luckily, we've been blessed in the 100 episodes. We can count on one hand that it's happened, but it's only happened one time. And this particular person, because I hyped them up, they stretch this out 3 days, but they're like top 5 in the world in any combat sport day. So we may expect an exception for them. You probably could guess who that is.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah,
and it's one of our top 3 highest rated episodes. So I think we may, like, my man missed a day of work. That's how real it is around here.
Yeah. Sometimes. No, I mean, and you got, and any reporters listening or anything like that, you got to be patient and you got to be professional. I mean, you know how many times I'd like to tell a fighter or a manager to be like, dude, are you kidding me? Like I'd love to tell him to F off, but you got to be professional and you got to be patient. And you got to just do, the quote from Roadhouse. You guys have seen Roadhouse, right? With Patrick Swayze. The key quote in that movie: "Be nice." Right? That was the rule when he was the bouncer. He's like, "Be nice." If some guy's calling you this and that, you be nice and you get through it. That's how I think of my interviews. It's like, always be nice. Say what you want behind the scenes, but I mean, if in terms of just being professional, keep it professional, right?
I was gonna say, I think now that you've got the score attached to your name, I think things will get a little bit easier.
Well, you'd think so. I mean, I have the stats. It's funny, actually. I messaged a couple of managers just being like, hey, just so you know, I'm with a bigger platform now. I gave them the stats, like second largest sports app in North America, 1 million Facebook likes on their Facebook page. I think it's something like 4 to 5 million monthly average users or something like that. So these are insane numbers. Like, this is a huge platform, like bigger than some of the bigger MMA websites. And, it's funny. I emailed 2 specific managers last week, nothing back. And it's like, all right. That's fine.
Before we let you go, this is about the sport as a whole. Because I know you keep your ear to the ground like we do. I'm fortunate because I'm on both sides of the fence. There's a guy named Rick Glasser. He's an old school boxing guy, like in his 60s, but he's on the pulse and knows like the Bob Arums and our boy Eddie's of the world, and I think he even knows stuff with Al Heyman. He knows a lot of the big name boxing people, but he knows like the business side. He came out with the report that PBC, aka Al Heyman's promotion company, is losing so much money that they're trying to sell it off to WME and Endeavor, and they want Artie Manuel to be the lead, the money guy, and Dana White to be the face. Because if that happens, there's no way Dana can do both. That'll change the landscape in combat sports. Have you heard anything remotely on that?
That's the first I've heard of it, and that's why I listen to what you guys are saying, because when it comes to my boxing news, you're always my guy, and there's a few other people I follow, so this is good to know. I mean, I was there at the McGregor and Mayweather press conference when Dana was wearing the Zuffa boxing shirt. What happened to those? Are those collector's items now? We haven't seen anything going on with Zuffa boxing. So I mean, I'd like to see it just to see what they can do. Like, we'll see, can you replicate what you did in the UFC with boxing? I'd be curious to see that. I haven't heard anything about it, but I mean, I'd probably watch more just to see how they would run ship, and you guys would know better than I would as far as some of the boxing stuff. Although I have covered a boxing event before. I think I told you this. I was at Pascal and Kovalev, their first fight in Montreal at Bell Center. That was crazy. Probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. But that's for another day. In general, this I think it would be very interesting to see how they could run ship with boxing, because I describe myself as like a casual boxing fan. Like, I'll tune into some of the bigger fights and I keep an eye on what's going on. But I think if that happened, I probably would pay attention a little bit more to if Zuffa or whatever, it's not Zuffa, WME, like you said, got involved in boxing.
The main thing is Dana got to see, like he asked Eddie Hearn, hey, why isn't Wilder and Joshua fighting? He got to understand there's a lot more people, like they all envy Dana because he calls the shots and there's nobody to challenge him. So they got to go against each other. So I don't know if Dana's going to have that UFC mentality. Hey, Deontay, you fighting Anthony Joshua. I don't care what you say. They're going to be like, F you. They're their own boss. So it's a lot more stuff. So he would have to rechange how he train himself on how he do business, because these fighters will really knock him out. And B, they don't care about what he has to say, him huffing and puffing.
You say that, though.
He can cut them. All they do, okay, if he cuts them tomorrow, Eddie Hearn's a $100 million deal for him tomorrow. It's not like this. We go to Celebratory and you take a pay cut.
I think Dana understands the boxing side, though. He had to deal with Mayweather McGregor, so I think he's got that, at least in the recent.
And the Diaz brothers, are you kidding me? Those guys have been, like, you talk about politics, those guys never fight. So, it's
no, I got you, but you never had somebody leave the UFC and come back making 10 times more money. You can have that in boxing. Yeah. That's very realistic.
Although McGregor came back, I mean, I wasn't sure if he was going to come back after fighting Mayweather. So you never know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, though, but I think that he's in rare instances, like with the Diaz brothers, like trying to get Nate to come back, for example, or trying to get other fighters to come out. Brock Lesnar, that's been a failed thing. I think he's had headaches like that are similar, because it all comes down to politics and money, right? Like at the end of the day. So I think he's dealt a little bit with that, but I agree with you, because like he's used to being Vince McMahon, where it's like, I run the brand, you're going to do what I say. But then when you got these boxers being like, hold up, like, you know how much I got paid in my last fight? Like, what is this? Come on.
Yeah. And see, another thing, I trip out because we have these people that take themselves very seriously in the MMA game, but yeah, we're better all-around journalists. That is my business, though. I'm going to leave it at that. But they don't realize that the reporter, they didn't just let Conor sign that deal. He has to fight at least one. Well, now it was 2. Now it's one more fight. Like, if he fought, say for instance, he fights Khabib or whoever, and he goes away, he's good now. He had to fight 2 more fights, or they would come back and he owes them 500 or 50 mil out of that 100 mil like that. A lot of people don't know that, but they don't talk about that. But we got these people that get all these props in the MMA game, and that's a very big fact with probably the most iconic contract so far in MMA history. Nobody talks about that.
That's true. That's a good point. I don't know why people aren't. See, you got to listen to Slip and Dip. You get these little tidbits, right?
But since you close the show, give people reason to listen to us, man. Episode 100 while we growing the show, man. Help us.
Okay, well, let me first start by saying this. There's no show right now in combat sports like what you guys do. The chemistry's great. You guys get fighters on a level that's totally different than what you'll see on, like, I'm not going to mention any other shows. You know what shows I'm talking about, but you guys get them on that personal level, and I think you can tell when they come on, they enjoy having a good time. Like, I remember when you guys had, like, even Greg Hardy, there's a good example. The interview you guys had with him, we know everything outside the cage with Greg, but you got him on a level where he was comfortable, and I'm sure he's very guarded with a lot of the media types and everything. And even I've seen other interviews you guys have done. Like, it's a skill to have, but I think it's good that you guys are able. Like, fighters know what they're getting when they come on. It's going to be laid back, but also very informative too. And the thing I like too is there's that boxing angle as well, which is great. You're not seeing that in every show these days. So I think that's good. But yeah, I mean, just look at the guest list. I mean, it's like the red carpet, right? You come on, you see Daniel Cormier, you got Wilder, all these guys. I'm serious. So you guys get really good guests. Like, there's times, and I've told you this too. I've told you this. Like, I'll go on, because I always do this subscribe thing on YouTube, and I check like who's got new stuff coming out, and I'll see you guys get a guest, and it's like, damn it, I should have got them, or like whatever, but in like a good way. Like, I like to see you guys succeed, and I like to see the show blowing up, and I like it when you guys are getting like a variety of different guests. Like, you'll get on a boxer, and then you'll get like this show today, right? Like, you save the best for last with me, and then you get some boxer on, right? So it's all good, So
that boxer's Wilder.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Some boxer. So there you go.
Yeah.
But no, I agree, and I think that you guys, in order to survive in this game, if anyone knows how to survive in the MMA game, it's me, because I didn't do it a conventional way. I did it a lot differently. It's trying to find that niche and be different, and I think what you guys are doing with the interviews and getting it on sort of more of a laid back level and adding in that boxing angle, that's so unique. Like, what other shows doing what you guys are doing? No one is right now.
Yeah, appreciate the promo, man. But much love and respect. For real, 2000. But by this time next year, the American Canadian connection, we're gonna do that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, exactly.
We're gonna do that. James know what I'm talking about. We've been talking.
Well, more importantly, when you guys got to come out to Vancouver. I don't know what's going on.
I really do want to go to Canada. I want to go to Toronto really, really bad. That's on my to-do list.
Yeah, you should come to Vancouver's closer. I think we're like 2.5 hour plane ride, something like that. You guys got to come out. There's nice mountains. It's like California, but the Canadian version, a little bit more rain.
Okay. I'm down. So I'm always down for a trip, especially up to Canada. I love Canada, man.
Matt, we had that good trip when you were out for the Holloway fight.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
That was amazing. I mean, it was a blizzard and all that stuff. It was crazy.
By the way, side note, I got to bring this up just because it happened last night. What do you guys think of the Raptors making the finals? That's kind of neat.
I was about to bring
That's good. They're going to get beat in 6, though.
Yeah, they're getting swept, but
they don't get swept.
We'll see. Hey, you know what? Hey, Paul Pierce. Did you see Paul Pierce's tweet? Paul Pierce is like, the Bucks are going to run I forget what the tweet was, but he's basically saying the Bucks are going to win everything, and they didn't win a single game after that.
Yeah, they got swept after that. They lost 4 in a row, which is crazy. But and dude, I was watching Danny Austin's feed last night, who was just I still think he's in a whole nother.
He was lit.
He's functioning properly right now.
He was emotionally drunk. I can't get mad at him being a Laker fan. When Kobe didn't win, I know when they won in 2010, I was on a Laker high for about 6 weeks, and I won $1,000. You couldn't tell me nothing, so I ain't gonna be mad. But I it's your first time. I let you get excited. That's what you do when you win it. When you win it, exactly. That's that month of euphoria. And if you got some money in your pocket on top of it, it's even better.
I love it.
See, I'm still holding out for the Grizzlies. Hopefully, they can come back and figure it out, because I can't claim to be I'm definitely happy to see the Raptors get there, but like, I'm not a true fan like when it comes down to it. Like, it's been cool to watch the run, but I'm not I'm not Danny Austin. Let's just leave it at that.
It's been an amazing run, man, and of course the whole Drake thing has that whole other angle. I mean, it's just been a fun ride to watch this team, but like I said, I think it comes to an end, obviously, in the finals. But hey, shout out to Toronto for getting there. It's been an amazing season, and they are fun to watch too. So,
it is. And Kawhi, man, I mean, we'll see if he ends up going to your team there, Kendrick. It seems like that might be what's happening next year. We'll see, but maybe if he gets a little taste of what the champion, getting to play with Toronto being the guy. I mean, we'll see, because if he goes to LA, he's going to be LeBron, Tim and LeBron.
It's an info. I talked to some people directly associated, related to him. He's going to Clippers. So you heard it here first.
Oh, there you go.
He's going to LA, but not to the Lakers.
See, this. You need another reason to watch this show. This guy's a basketball insider too.
Yeah, we got other stuff in the pipeline too. Just pay attention, football season and stuff. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming.
Good.
But people, it's been fun talking to you, James. As always, follow him on at Lynch.
Great way to catch me a Cap Pop episode 100.
Follow at The Score. Subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. That's where James moved all the stuff over to. So support James just like we do. We appreciate the time, man.
I'll be in touch, buddy.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for having me on. One quick thing: download the Score app. You guys probably have the ESPN app on there.
I've had
Delete
the Score
that.
app on my phone.
Put the Score app on there. You get the alerts. You know what the best part is, and I got to tell you this quickly as we're wrapping things up, is like anytime I get a new interview or like something big comes up, they get those alerts, which is awesome. Like, so, you know, Elias Theodore's release, alert, you'll get that. Like you don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to like scroll through Twitter. You just get that alert, go to the story, go to the video, you're set, man. We got it all figured out at The Score. So there you go.
There it is.